right, well, we will start the meeting. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Berlin Select Board meeting. Today is Monday, April 11th, 2022. We continue to meet virtually only in light of COVID. So let's see. Call to order, exactly 7 o'clock. Announcements, meetings of the Berlin Select Board are generally recorded for transmission on both the Berlin Cable Television Access Channel and YouTube. Your voice, image, and or phone number may be recorded. All righty. Any questions, comments, issues with the approval of last week's meeting, April 4th?
I had no issues. If you'd like a motion, I will make a motion to approve.
I thought our motion related to, see, now I tried to fix the line again, now it's worse. I thought the motion to look for a management company to help with hiring a replacement TA, I thought our motion was to talk to the last company that did it and not look for 3 bids.
I kind of thought that too, but I did not remember.
That's it. I'm happy with us going for 3 bids, but I thought that our motion really was to reach out to the company that did it last time and see if they can do it within the best practice dollar amount.
Let's take a look.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Margaret.
I think I heard the same thing, and that's why I followed up with that company.
Yep.
Okay. So do we need to amend? Oh, Margaret's,
The minutes?
we amend these?
Are the minutes changing as we're talking?
Oh, can you give me,
Mary was.
give me what the edit is?
Yeah, she put in some stuff about the opioid. I could see something whizzing across the screen.
No, I didn't put in anything. Where do you want the edit to be?
It's
The last bullet point before the motions. It says, the last sentence says TA to seek quotes for 3 recruiters with the goal to keep it under 10K. I think the TA is to
No, that's right. Follow up with the recruiting company.
Yeah, follow up with the recruiting company to keep the cost under 10K.
Yep.
MRI.
Yeah, thank you, MRI.
Yeah, we can talk later.
The things I can't, the thing I can't have anymore.
oh, boom.
And I need them more often.
Yes.
So not 3 quotes, just following up with MRI.
Yes.
Yes.
And I just had my latest MRI.
Yay.
Jeez, I'm feeling left out here. I'm trying to avoid surgeries for the year. Thank you very much. All right.
Does this wording work now?
To follow up with MRI, the recruiting company, with the goal to keep the cost under 10 grand. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. I just thought maybe
because I think we're going to do a formal vote on what to do next tonight. So I think that's going to be fun. See, this proves that I actually do read the minutes every now and then.
Every now and then. There you go. All right. So now that there's a change, is there a motion to re-accept?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Motion and a second. Stone eye.
Hawkins, aye.
Keith, aye.
All right.
It's amended.
As amended. All right, Miss Margaret or Miss June, otherwise TA 1 and 2. What do you have for correspondence?
Okay, I've got two things here, 2 simple things. The first is Neshoba Valley Regional Dispatch District is going to be celebrating National Public Safety Telecommunications Week next week. And in case none of the board members is able to attend, or even if someone can attend, I was wondering if you would like a letter drafted from the board with an expression of appreciation to the dispatchers who work really hard in support of our public safety departments.
I think that's a great idea.
Yep.
I do too.
Awesome. Mary, would you be able to draft that letter, please? And oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I don't know how to read that. right,
You're either being arrested or your car warranty is overdue
It's
or
probably one of
Yeah,
those.
Claim
Your
to
social
the
security number, your social security number could have expired and you need to like
Yeah,
renew it.
it
That's the
could be
other
my alma
spam
mater
call that
asking
comes in.
asking for
it
money.
is tax season, so there you go.
Margaret, if you
All
have
right.
literature, if not, I can just find something online.
Yes, and so I can forward you the email. Next week, April 10th through April 16th is National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. So I'll forward you the executive director's email just so you have that information. Okay. And then the next thing is the letter I mentioned at your last meeting to the neighbors of 19 Carter. I asked Mary to draft a letter from the board, and I think the letter looks good. She acknowledges in the letter, it's recognized that 19 Carter has made efforts to proactively address the neighbors' concern. One of the primary things that they are doing is they're going to be using police details this year. So there will be police details helping with public safety issues. And then the letter also asks for the neighbors' assistance. So asking the neighbors to report any public safety, traffic, parking, pedestrian, or noise concerns to the police department in real time. So I don't know if the board has had a chance to take a peek at that. Mary drafted it this morning. Thank you, Mary. And I'd like to go ahead and send that to the neighbors.
I had no problem with it. It looks fine.
Okay.
It's okay. Yep.
Okay.
One thing I'd just like to reiterate from Evie, because she did tell me this too, was the fact that she would like some help with parking at some point, meaning lines for parking, if we could.
That's a good point. Traffic Safety Advisory Committee is meeting tomorrow, and they have not yet reviewed and recommended updates to the parking regulations. So,
Okay.
All right, so do you need a motion or are you just good to go on that there? M1, 2.
I think a motion would be good to send it out.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Stone eye.
Hawkins, aye.
Keith, aye.
Excellent. And thank you to the folks at 19 Carter. It just shows that, everyone is willing to truly play nice and get along with each other. And hopefully we can have a very pleasant, welcoming celebrations this year with all the events that are going on downtown. If Berlin has a downtown. All right. Anything else there, Miss Margaret, for correspondence?
Nope, those were the two primary things today.
Ms. Poland, otherwise known as TA2?
This time, nothing else.
Not at this time. Okay. All right. We are up to general public comments. I know we have a few folks in the audience, but they'll be coming up to the big table in a moment. All right. Seeing none. Speaking of which, it is almost 7:10, so if we could bring up Mr. Cummings, our highway superintendent, otherwise known as highway guy. Before everyone comes on, we should always try to guess where they are. Like if Fred's in his house, if Fred's in the office, where Chief is, where Eric is. So we'll do that with Chief, who's coming up next. We'll have to play Guess Where Chief Is.
It's a new game.
It is a new game. It is a new game. It keeps us entertained. Hello, Mr. Fred. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Peachy keen.
I just got a little bit about the parking lines at 19 Carter. I did hear that comment. Jim was approached by Evie last year about doing them, but we didn't get a chance to do it because of frost set in and the paint wouldn't have stuck to the roads. So I think that's still something he's working on to get lines up there in the street.
Great.
But as for our monthly thing, I'm not going to go over too much with the old business, since where it was only 2 weeks ago. I was just here. So I'll jump into the new business. So we were able to get Mass Mobile Inspections to come in, and they did all our state inspections here in the garage, which is a big time saver for us. We did get gigged on a few things, but they're minor, which we just ordered parts today for one of them, brake parts for them. So that was a good thing. And then our friends over in Boylston DPW lent us their patch box because our roads were really taking a hammering, and he agreed with his. So we went over and picked up his patch box. So we had 2 of them out there so we could try to get caught up, which worked great because we had it for 2.5 days. So that worked out well. I don't know if you guys knew that Dave Smith milled up some timbers for us for the salt shed repairs, some posts. Anyone know?
I think you
No.
mentioned it. I think you
You mentioned it in the
last
report.
time.
All right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So he did, he milled up, we only needed 3. He ended up milling up 6 for us. So we have
Nice.
extras for the future, which is great because they're wicked heavy, they're solid oak. So the salt shed did get repaired, so we can actually start putting material back in it now. My sponsored a class that we were hoping to do back in December. They finally just did it last month through Cranes 101 on bucket truck safety, gearing up for when ours comes in, which is on schedule. The company we bought it from took delivery of it last month towards the end of the month, and then in turn sent it over to the builder, who says we should have it no later than July 1st, which still doesn't seem quick enough with the amount of trees we got work to do on. We started with the COA tax workoff program, so we had John Rogers in the garage. John spent, it was right around 60 something hours. He rebuilt both gutter broom arms on our sweeper, which is a project that probably should have been done in the fall, but we ran out of time, so it sat here in the garage all winter hoping to get to it. But with the snowstorms and everything, we never got to it. So he came in and got it going, and it has been out once already. Mostly for driver training to get Matt used to running it. So you'll see that out probably in the next week and a half. We'll start picking sand up. And right now we actually have another tax work-off program in here. He's doing some filing work, going through the file drawer that has everything in it from the building of this one, 112 West Street. Because we went looking for some a warranty paper on our heater, and it just took forever to find it. So he came in, today was his first day, and he started organizing that drawer for us to make it more usable. So the gutter brooms are done. When we had our air compressor inspected here at the highway garage, it was actually supposed to be done right after the building was built, and it had not been done. So Department of Fire Services came out and did an inspection on it. He did give us a tag for it and cleared us to keep using it. We just had to make one modification on the bottom, even though it had an automatic drain on it. If for some reason that one failed, we still had to be able to drain it. So Matt installed a quarter turn valve in it. So we were able to take a picture of it. We sent it to him, and he was very grateful that we got it done as quick as we did and sent us the certificate for it. So we're good on that end of it now. And speaking of Matt, he passed his state plumbing license. So he went to school at Assabet for plumbing, HVAC, I believe. And he went and finally took his test out in Springfield and passed. Not sure if he's gonna wanna go that way. We're trying to steer him from leaving us to go that way, but hopefully he stays. We finally got credentials here in the office for the Mass DOT's NAPIT system, which is used to do your Chapter 90 projects on. Back in the day, it all used to be paper written and you submitted it that way. So now it's all online. So we have credentials for it, and we started planning it to submit our projects. So far, we've mapped out 4.34 miles of roads that need full depth reclamation. And that would actually bring us up to where we should be at this time, years wise, which is good because when we had to submit our bridge grant, we had to list what we had for our Chapter 90 money, and it came in just over $1 million. So we had to try to allocate that money so the state will know we are poor and we need the grant funding. But what we have marked out is obviously way more than what we can do in a year. So it's not like we're totally going to expend it all at once. And some of those roads, I mean, you guys know, it's upper Sawyer Hill. We had some illegal dumping actually right by the fire pond. It consisted of a backboard and a whole bunch of cinder block. We don't usually get debris there. Last time we had something there, it was a giant fish that someone caught and didn't want to keep. So it's kind of gross.
Can't make this up.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was like one of the things you see on, you know, that big fishing show. So like I said, VHB got our grant all put together, and it was submitted on time. I did receive confirmation back that they have it, and now it's in their hands. They're going to review it. I haven't gotten any phone calls on it, so that's a good thing, I guess. But you know, we'll see. Hopefully, they'll go with it. So I did get. We did measure Upper Sawyer Hill for the line edge painting, because I did also have a resident reach out to confirm that we are going to do it this year. So we are going to do it. Just one side is 8,929 feet. It's going to cost in the area of $1,200 to do it. So for line painting, we're actually going to go over by $2,000 by adding this into it. But I think there should be money in the budget by the end of the year that we'll be able to cover it. They are going to come out and mark out the street for us because they thought it was unusual to have just the edge lines and no center line. And I tried to explain to them how narrow the road is anyway, that even by putting the white lines down, it's really going to make it look cramped. So if we go throwing a yellow line in it, it's going to be like looking at bike lanes. It's crazy.
And right, they can go over to Bolton to see where they've just put white lines down the edge of some of the roads. Just makes it at night just easier to know where the edges are. You don't go off the edge and hit things. So I'm glad it's being done. He reached out to me as well. So glad to know he's also reaching out to you.
Oh yeah. I got his email towards the beginning of last week. And by then we had already had it measured for him. So let's see. So the grant was finished. Peter from Gillis Landscaping, I met with him in regards to the landscaping there at the municipal center. I thought I would have had it by now because he was projected at 10 days. But what he's going to do is put together a plan for landscaping down there with like a design of bushes, plants, and then pass it off to us. He's going to do it up both ways. One is if they're going to do all the work, installing and everything, and then if we do the installation ourselves. And what he's going to do is, I don't know if it's done on like a computer, like a 3D, but he'll have all the bushes laid out on the islands. He's going to do basically from the center of the building out front where we have that kind of like a makeshift garden all the way around to the police department side. As the product starts showing up, he's going to reach out to us and we can go down and look at the bushes and see if that's something that you want to see there around the building. If not, he can substitute it with something else. So I was hoping to have that by this meeting, but it didn't come through. But when it does, yes.
I was just going to say, is this just for the municipal building or can he give you quotes on other town buildings?
For now, it was only going to be the municipal building because that's kind of like the focal point. The Boy Scouts are going to be doing a cleanup at the 1870 Town Hall. So I've talked with Sandra about that and also Chris for the Scouts. So they're going to be doing some plantings up there and doing all the cleanup there in the springtime.
Okay, I just want to let you know that the person that had talked to me about it was concerned about the schools too.
See, I didn't think we maintained around the schools because at one time we used to go in and trim around the bushes, and then out of the blue, a landscape company showed up one spring and just went to town on it. They trimmed the bushes.
Around for trees and bushes?
Yeah. Yeah, they
Okay.
did the trees, the bushes, they were doing the garden edges, and we were like, okay, wow, great.
Okay.
And then they came back another year. But if that's
Was-
something that we should do, I can reach out to Steve.
I just wondered about the, like, does it need any plantings or anything in the front of it?
It should have something. It's really kind of plain.
I know.
Unless it's, in the growing season in the garden actually makes it look like something.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm not sure. I mean, maybe if he has a chance, he could just look and give suggestions.
Oh,
Right.
what does our lease with the school say? Who's responsible for that?
I honestly
Yeah.
have no idea.
I thought we were, except that Highway did the mowing.
Yeah,
Or
we
if-
still do the mowing and the trimming around the building.
Okay.
Mark was gonna say something about the lease with the schools.
Yeah.
The one that's not
In
done?
progress, still to
Yeah, the
finalize.
the lease that's not done.
Not done.
Work in progress. But I can still check with Steve to see if that's something that, if they're gonna have someone come back to do. If
Okay.
not, then I can reach out to Peter again and have him come in there.
Well, this is a good start.
Yeah.
Fred, if we, on tree removal,
Mhm.
how solid do you think a list is of fairly, I don't want to call them dangerous, but trees of concern? Let's call them trees of concern. Like, do you have a chunk of trees of concern that if you had the money, you could take down?
Oh, yes, definitely. We have a file for hazard trees, and that's what we've been working off. Our hardest part now is trying to find a tree company that's available to come out. The company
Yeah.
that we used, Go Tree, they were able to give us 2 days, 2 months ago, because that's how busy they were. Because there's actually 2 trees in town. One of them, he was supposed to give me a quote on, that requires a crane to use for it. And I haven't received that from him yet.
And I
Yes,
had
sir.
a question on the trees too. I mean, I know that we have this magical number of trees, and Margaret, I don't even know if we could do this, or June, if we could do this, and I think that Carolyn's probably, is she in the audience? Yeah, oh no, not yet. Maddie is an arborist
Yeah.
for the Conservation Committee, so, but I'm assuming we'd have to pay her for her time, and I didn't know how we do that, but instead of working off this list of 600 trees or whatever it is it more plausible for Fred and Maddie, however we figure out to pay Maddie, if we can pay Maddie, to drive around town and truly mark really bad, needs to come down, it's okay, it's not going anywhere, hey, this isn't as bad as we thought, trees, before we just go and try and hire somebody and realize it's 10 trees and not 600.
If someone has contact information from Maddie.
I have.
Yeah.
I'm happy to share that with you. I'm happy to connect the 2 of you.
Yeah, I'll reach out to her tomorrow.
And I still continue to be in favor of using some ARPA funds to sort of speed this process along, and not opposed to speeding it along by having an arborist help us sort of both prioritize but potentially remove trees that don't really need to come down, because I do live in this fear that if we lost 600 trees, that we end up with a field town and not a
Yeah.
forested town. But I also don't want trees, falling on cars and roads or other things like that. So I think an arborist might be a good way. So if money is the barrier, I think there might be things we could do between shifting things within the budget and other sources to help make this happen.
Yeah,
Well, you gotta get busy on capital planning there, Scott. Start writing up that report and get it in front of Anna.
So can I just ask one more question, Fred?
Yeah.
The bucket truck,
Mhm.
is that something that's going to come online soon?
The
July-
earliest we'll
July
see
1.
would be July 1st.
Okay,
It shouldn't be any later, they said. And it actually comes with a harness, and with the training we had, if it shows up on a Monday, we can put it to work on Tuesday.
okay,
Um,
good.
so It just isn't coming quick enough.
I know.
Right.
Um,
Well, it's not like we have tons of extra sort of staff time to kill, but that when we're looking at Chapter 90 money, that's a slightly different topic. Do we sort of generally have a target of like how many miles of roads we want to try to repave or fix a year?
Actually, yeah, the superintendent, Dennis Bartley, years ago, every time they did road work, he always kept an index card of that street. And that's what I went back on. I initially marked, what was the name? Peach Hill Road from Baker Road to the town line. because that was last done in 1994. That's when they put all the drainage in up that way. And then I marked from Highland Street all the way in, I know you don't know him, but past Hickey Foster's house. It's just down around the corner from Carr Road, because that's where they stopped when they came in for Randall Road the other way. And then it was Highland Street from the town line to Randall Road. That was the initial markings I did. And then we had to go out and find more areas of town that we had to do. I know Dave had started with the residents on Allen Road about doing a whole project out there, widening the road, cutting a bunch of trees down. Because that year, we went around and replaced all the culvert pipes. And then the project's like stalled. We didn't do anything with it. No trees were cut, nothing was widened. And I've been asked a few times about the residents up there. That is one of the roads that we had marked to do for like the entire Chapter 90 funds. But the original ones I picked were the three that I just named off.
Okay.
Because that's where we spent a lot of the time patching this winter.
Do you have like protocols for when you do certain roads, if you do them before school's out, and how buses can get around if you have them all torn up?
I don't know how often like that was brought in, because this would be my first time actually setting it up and things like that. And actually coming into this late in the season, we'd actually be looking into around the time school is out, because this we actually should have started planning over the winter time. So that way come springtime, all the numbers were done, paperwork was filed, and we could start out. But we have actually hot topped as late as October, November.
Yeah, they actually, I think, are out of school the end of June, like
Okay.
24th or 25th or something usually.
Yeah.
And I know, I just remember when you really redid South Street, and it was almost impossible, but the bus still had to go down South Street when it was
Yeah.
all torn up. And it was like, how are they even doing that?
Yeah, well, the downfall to doing it late in the year, like if you take a ride out Crosby Road, all the edges, when you were rolling it, it was mud pushing up through it.
Yeah.
So that's why all the edges are broken up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to see if we can get it done late summer, early fall, if we can get on the schedule for it.
Yeah.
it
Well,
would definitely-
it's just a good idea to give them a call if you do it before school's out, and let them know.
Yeah, definitely.
so they can
And,
plan.
and I have learned some of the bus routes, because when we were working on the grant for the detour routes, and I reached out to Steve to find out how much the buses actually come up and down certain roads.
Yeah.
So that was actually a plus.
And I might be jumping the gun if you had more things, but where are we at with staffing at the highway department, since your new business has both new hires and resignations listed on it?
Yeah, so Brendan actually just started today. He's filled the position of the custodian driver laborer. And I invited him to the
He's
meeting.
here. He is here. Yep.
All right, good.
Oh, yeah.
Bring him to the big table.
This way he gets TV time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He was probably early because he's always early.
Yeah.
There he
Hello,
is.
Hey,
everybody.
Brendan.
Hey, Brendan.
How's it going?
Welcome
Good.
aboard. Welcome to
Yes.
Berlin.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Brendan, nice to meet you. I hope to
Nice
meet
to
you in
meet-
person soon.
Of course, me too.
Well,
Yes.
Brendan, I hope that you're busy, because I have a feeling Fred has his honey-do list in his back pocket that he's just ready to be like, all right, Brendan, here you go. See ya.
Not that the three of us just added more things to that list, or more things that he'd be doing, he has to push off to other folks, so.
Oh, yeah, well, wait, I got one more, so, that's,
Oh, wait, I
welcome
think
aboard, Brendan, please.
Yes, one important. It's important to bring it to the main table here so that, again, get TV time, people in town get to see you. When you're at the general store getting your lunch, people can stop by and recognize you and say hi.
That's right. And if you need anything, give us a holler. We're all around
do.
for you. Awesome.
Welcome aboard.
Thanks.
Fred, I have one quick question, and then we'll scoot to Chief Clark, but he can't come on until he gets where he is. I was reached out to Kathy Duffy, right by the tracks on Linden.
Mhm.
That poor little DCR building is getting tagged again and again and again and again. And I know that Chief Clark reached out, Chief Galvin reached out. I'll send an email to you guys. Maybe at the next meeting when Eric's on, we can try to figure out what to do, if there's anything to do, but it's just bad. And talk about crap in the back of the building. I go by and there's just trash. I don't know. I'm not asking for anything, just to maybe start thinking if there's anything that we can do. Can't stop a tagger. It's all over the bridge as well, you know, and in the back when you're walking. It's nasty, it's wrong, it's disgusting. Grow up, go tag your own house, you know, start leaving town and federal property alone.
Oh, yeah.
You
and it's
pay the
all-
taggers to do something nice on it, so other taggers leave it alone, and so it's a nice work of art.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
and it's actually all over the cliff out there too.
Yes,
It's pretty bad, and at least out, it's pretty vulgar.
It
in
is.
some spots. It's
it
pretty
is. I
bad.
mean, that's never that, you know, not to say the graffiti's nice, but at least the graffiti on the building is not as disgusting and vulgar as it was last year when we had to tackle it. So
Yeah.
I hope that's not giving anybody ideas, but again, just food for thought. If there's anything that we can do, I don't know. I doubt it. Put up a fence, make it even uglier, but that cuts down on parking. That's not our property. That's DCR, I think.
Yeah.
So,
um,
okay.
All right, yeah, we'll definitely look into that. We
Okay.
did have the sheriff's department come out 2 years ago, I think now.
Yeah,
And they looked at the cliffs. The only problem is they couldn't put any of the inmates any higher than 6 feet. So they could do the whole bottom, and
know.
then the rest was left. And they're
I
gonna come
know.
back and tag it that quick. So we didn't pursue that at all.
no, and unfortunately, you know, it's nice to walk out there. It's kind of out of sight, out of mind. I just get concerned when you drive by the building and that's what you see coming up and down Linden, so. But I'll send an email out and see if there's anything that we can do. All right. Any other questions for Mr. Fred?
Nice.
Well, may I have the honor of recognizing Fred's accomplishment as a
Please
basic
do. I was
Rhodes
hoping that you
scholar?
would.
Yep.
Mhm.
So I'm just going to read this and wish Fred congratulations. Dear Fred, congratulations on achieving your Rhodes Scholar Award. Being named a Rhodes Scholar is very impressive. You have earned this honor by attending 35 contact hours of eligible Bay State Rhodes courses. Through these classes, you have gained skills and knowledge in the technical and safety areas, as well as in state and national standards. And you have received a certificate. This is from Bay State Rhodes through UMass Amherst College of Engineering, and they work in conjunction with MassDOT. So congratulations, Fred, on achieving that.
Thank you.
Round of applause. Yay.
That
Thank you.
was
That's
one of
right.
the things on the checkoff list.
Well done, Fred. Well done.
Thank you.
Appreciate the job that you're doing. All right. Well, don't go too far because I know that Carolyn's going to come up in a few minutes and we're going to talk about Linden Street. So go grab a quick cup of coffee and then come back. And before we let Chief Clark come up to the front, where is Chief? I say he's home.
I think he's in a fishing cabin in Maine.
I
Okay,
think
Chris?
I think he's in his red room.
Margaret?
Oh, all right, I'll go with office in his red room.
All right, June?
I was gonna say office also.
All right, let's see. Unveil.
Okay.
Oh, I was
It's
gonna say,
Oh, next time we're gonna have to guess how Chief is dressed. There you go.
Oh, a
Oh,
Patriots shirt.
there you go. Hey, Chief Clark, how are you? You're on mute. Still on mute. There you are.
Yep. Good evening to everybody and especially the TA. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Chief.
No, there's a lot of things going on here. I'll touch base with the report first and then just cover a quick basis. And before Freddie goes anywhere, hopefully he's still there. He was very instrumental in allowing us to do some training at his site on West Street on Saturday the 2nd. It was flashover training. It's the kind of training you don't get to do a lot, and you hope that it teaches the people the signs and symptoms of a fire prior to being involved with it. And I think in my career, I was in the wrong place at the right time, 2 or 3 times where we experienced that, not to a full blown, but on the periphery of it. And it's just such valuable training. Thank you, Freddie, for letting us use your parking lot and your help with that training on the 2nd.
Oh, you're always welcome. It was good
Yep,
training.
yep.
It was
The
very
train,
good.
Freddie was the first one in the door to do it. So
It
it
was
was
fun.
like, yeah, he's a berserker on the fire ground, man.
It was a good
I
time.
think 100 Freddies, it wasn't a fire we couldn't do. So it was like, yeah, thanks, Freddie. So it's like,
Anytime.
but we'll get going on the report. I know you got a lot to cover tonight. A fairly quiet month, 38 total incident responses. 8 fire-related, with the different one being there was someone stuck in an elevator at the 135 hour, a worker that was a cleaner there. The lady was cleaning, and the door got jammed up, and it was nothing that you could do from the outside. We had to wait till the elevator person got there, opened up the outside doors, dropped the car, and then he worked the door because it's got to be exactly lined up to close, and it wasn't. So it's like, that was it was a Saturday, I believe it was a Saturday morning that we were there. And like, he was there in like 40 minutes. If it had been like in a medical emergency or something, we could have opened the door with the extrication tools, but we didn't need to. She was fine. And the lady did really good. You could hear her humming in there. She was actually cleaning the elevator car as she was waiting. So she was a really good sport. And we kept it light, and she did really, really good. So it's like just one of those things you run into, put it in the books. But also 22 EMS responses, 5 motor vehicle accidents, 2 public assists, and then 1 assist to the PD. And on jumping down to the on the EMS on the billing, it was a really good month for billing at $48,598, and the credits coming in at $714.12. So those things, they're working good. I think we're headed in the right direction on that. And I think that with some of the back and forth I've got, we should be talking about EMS. We should be close to maybe hearing some stuff on the ALS review shortly. They asked some questions that
nice.
you would ask near the end of it rather than at the beginning of it. So I know they've been working away at that, and haven't heard a ton, but asked some questions. And that's what kind of like the questions drive me to think where they are. So hopefully that's good. But so the EMS bill in there, also the year to date for billing is there, and also the credits to date is there. One of the things that we heard on last week, we got an AAD grant, automatic external defibrillator, from a state grant process that is moving. We should see it by the end of July. And got a grant, it's $1,942 to purchase one of them. And the infamous car 3, the car 2, the pickup truck, finally became available like 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 now. It's been outfitted with communications. It's out currently today and tomorrow to get the graphics package put on it. It's down in Rentham, I think it is, or Plainville, down there someplace. And we should see it back first thing tomorrow morning. What else do we got here? Tomorrow we have, which is a critical thing for the organization and moving forward, is we have interviews for Mike Wheeler's vacant career firefighter EMT slot. And that's tomorrow. We have myself, the deputy, the lieutenant, someone from the personnel committee, and a captain from Ashland Fire coming in to help us with interviews. So that should be tomorrow. TA and the TA2, I'll keep you guys in the loop afterwards, what we find out, so you know what's going on. And shouldn't be any surprises there. And what else do we got? That's kind of like about it. It's like a lot of little things going on that eat up time sitting at the desk rather than being out in the street learning something new. But it's like it is what it is. So if I can field any questions from anybody, and I know that we got more time. What, Thursday night we do the warrant articles Thursday night.
Next Thursday.
It's up on your agenda next. Yep. And tomorrow night we do traffic study committee. So it's like a lot of Zoom time this week, I guess. We're gonna Zoom it all week, so it's like, it is what it is, but,
Do you have any sense, sorry, I jumped in. Chief Clark, do you have any sense of why we're running emergency calls at like half the level that we were seeing last year?
no, I don't, I think it's just like sometimes you sometimes be careful what you wish for. And I say that to some of the younger guys when I come in, they say, oh, we're gonna do this or that today. And I'd like, be just careful what you wish for. So
Oh,
it's like, yeah, but it's just like you go through the little downs and it's like, I think that one thing that did start to pick up again a couple of times just Saturday was the highway. Got a
Oh, yeah.
couple of rollovers out there. So it's like, it's picking up. April's already like, we're already up to like 2 or 3 a day in April. So it's like, there's no rhyme or reason to it, Scott. So it's kind of just roll the punches and you can't go out and do something. It's not something you can be proactive with. You gotta wait till the phone or the bell rings. So it's like,
Yep.
nope. But some of them, looking at the billing there, it tells me that some of the medical calls that we did were serious ones because the billing was up.
Mhm.
So it's like they had some of that might be lesser, but there was some important calls there. So, nope, good question.
Right, when you're gonna, if it looks like fiscal year 22 is gonna hit $200,000 in revenue, which is a good number, and will be a couple of years now you've hit that target. So I'm gonna have to up my expectations to like $250,000 or something.
There you go.
Although the ALS study will make all historic numbers obsolete at some point if we actually make any significant changes to the way we do our emergency, our ambulance.
Yeah, that will open up a lot of doors, like mutual aid wise, if you go there. So it will be, yep, you'll see a huge jump in the numbers. That may be explainable at these meetings. So it's like into the city on the other mutual aid where we can bring the ALS rather than just the BLS, which we are now, which is very good. There's actually been more mutual aid BLS calls lately than I've seen since I've been here. So it's like Clinton's been busy. And they're like in the past couple of weeks, 3 or 4 times. So it's like, again, like I said before, there's not a lot of rhyme or reason to it and nothing that you can put your hand on. I know that the highway in my travels every morning, every afternoon, coming north and going south it's getting back to the pre-pandemic volume, pretty close. So it's like, yeah, I keep my fingers crossed we don't go out there though. It's like been out there too many times. So. But
Absolutely.
it is what it is. We're ready to go.
Chris, did you have a?
Yeah, I
I'm
wanted
sorry,
to
Chris,
ask
go
you,
ahead.
Chief, had you sent us an email at some point, maybe several months ago, with the number of calls to the apartments at Riverbridge? Did you have any kind of data on that you could share? Because I know that came up at one of our Riverbridge meetings with the Sunnies.
Yep, no, we can like, we can run that, run those, I should say, excuse me, dates, addresses there and find out. Those have been, to be honest with you, I can't remember the last call that we had there. I haven't been on any fire alarms in a while during the day. That's when we were running those a lot. And even they've had some medicals. They've had a wide range of medicals there, but nothing really lately. But I will check, yep.
Yeah, I mean, I thought maybe you had sent us something a while back, but I could not, I couldn't find it. So
Yep.
if you have anything, just if
Yep.
you could forward it to Margaret and I.
Yep, I will, we can do a scan of that, those addresses there, those streets with all of is back into 21 long enough, do all of 21 to the present. That give you a
Yeah,
good idea
yeah.
what you want to look at? Okay.
Yeah, something in the past year or so many
Yeah.
months so we can calculate
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
average. Okay, great.
I know the apartments that I had where I came from were a lot busier than these ones, but I don't know why. I mean, it's like, yep, can't answer the question.
Be
Like
careful of
before,
what you wish for, Chief.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, we'll be hanging
I
off a
really do think
balcony
we
later
need to,
tonight.
I
To
can
get
reach
on,
out
yep.
to Chief, I can reach out to Chief Shartner and ask the same question, because it
Okay.
would be good to have
All right.
police records as well.
Right.
Cool. All right. Anything else for Chief Clark? Chief Clark in the red room?
Nope, I think we're good.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chief Clark. I have no questions for you today. Trying to spare you. Don't worry. I'll have them
I
all
don't believe
for
that.
you in a
I
couple
mean-
weeks.
That means I'll get doubled up next time, that's all.
Yes, you absolutely do. I'll give you this. I'll give you a mulligan now, but I'll get you next month. Awesome. All right. Thank you, Chief. Take care. Safe travels home. All right. Up next, if we could bring Carolyn up to the front, and if Fred is still hanging around, if we could bring him back up to the front. I know we're a little bit behind, but we'll giddy up. We'll get there.
Hi, guys.
Hello, Carolyn.
Hi.
I'm gonna keep my camera off because my internet is wicked wonky.
Okay. How are the
I gotta
peepers,
shut
Carolyn?
everything off after we're done.
Okay.
Pardon?
How are the peepers? Your peepers, have they started peeping?
Oh, they're peeping away, peeping
Okay.
away.
84
right.
decibels.
Yeah.
I brought my decibel meter outside a couple of times. At my back door, it's 84 decibels of the spring peepers.
Wow.
Excellent.
All right,
You say
Carolyn.
that-
Peepers.
So at our meeting the other night, we those of us that had attended the meeting at the parking lot discussed with everybody else what we found, what we all agreed on, and the commission voted to approve 60 feet by 100 feet of some sort of wood fencing. We may not do exactly split rail. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. We may not do exactly split rail because it's so expensive. It may end up being like pressure treated 4x4 posts with just flat boards bolted to the front of them. But it will be something that's attractive and durable and affordable.
Carolyn, do you have a time frame on that? I mean, I know that Fred went up and took the poles down and moved them around and then put stakes so people and things wouldn't drive over them and fall over them. But do you have an estimate as to when you're targeting a fence to go up by Concom?
Yeah, yes and no. How's that? My goal is after town meeting, I will start sourcing all the materials and, estimating what we need. I'll probably run it by Fred just to make sure that what I come up with, we don't want to buy everything we need except for 3 4x4s or something. But early midsummer at the latest, I'm hoping to really just turn it around, get it done, get it off everyone's plate. At least as far on our end, I'm not sure what the highway department's schedule is going to be like, and I don't, but as far as us getting the materials for them, my goal is sooner than later.
Yeah, actually, whenever you get the materials, we can always try to fit it in, even if it's a rainy day. And there's not much we can do on the streets. That's what we did the other day.
So Carolyn, given town meeting is what, the second?
Yep.
Today's the 11th, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Could we maybe target, instead of like midsummer, could you target mid-May? And my reason for saying that is I know as school gets out, there'll be more and more traffic in that field. So, I didn't know if it's something that maybe other members of the committee, your committee can start to look at for just training materials, just to get training materials. Fence materials, just to get an idea of what's out there. I know that you guys had bantered around a lot, like looking for donations, but I know that that takes time. And again, I just want to make sure that all parties are in agreement for that area.
I absolutely want to make sure everyone's in agreement. And yeah, I mean, I can definitely ask AJ if he can start looking around and seeing what we can find for sure.
All right.
So you froze for a minute as you were counting the calendar on my end
Um,
anyway.
So I'm sitting here looking at the calendar. So you've got the 11th. So technically three weeks of April are left. Town meeting is the first week in May. And then I just threw on like 2 more weeks in May. So, that gives like 6 weeks, even 6 to 8 weeks would bring you to the end of May, to get the material for the fence and, potentially I see Fred looking at his calendar too, to get up there. I'm certainly not in a position to tell
Yep.
Fred that he needs to have it done by, but I think the sooner the better, just for all parties.
Yeah, the 2 weeks that
Agreed.
are gonna be busy for us are gonna be the second and the third week of May.
Yeah, so, I can definitely coordinate with Fred and with AJ, and
Oh, there goes
for
Carolyn.
the end of May is not unreasonable.
Okay. Right. And then briefly for the other folks that weren't there at the meeting, could you share with us what else your committee has agreed on in terms of the parking lot at Linden?
The parking lot.
The parking lot.
So, it's gonna be some sort of rail fence, and there's one of the things that Chief Galvin was concerned about when he went out there was there's a large rock that he was concerned about cars getting hung up on. So we've decided that we'll put together some sort of kiosk that will straddle the rock so that people can't park on it, theoretically, anyway. And that will also give us an opportunity to post a trail map at that site and to clearly indicate the rules of the easement and the agreement, of how that property is to be used and how it's not to be used, more importantly. So, we're never going to stop all of the bad behavior, but the more we can reduce it, the better.
Agreed.
And that is the goal.
Okay. And I know that you had mentioned that there was some trees and things that need to come down, but unfortunately, A, we don't have a bucket truck. B, we're gonna have to wait. C, I don't know where your trees would line up with all the other trees, potential trees that need to come down. And I don't think you had hopped on yet when we were talking about trees, and I had mentioned it to everybody here, where Maddie is an arborist, Margaret, TA 1 and 2 will figure out, how we pay Maddie and things like that. But for her to talk to Fred and actually see what trees in town need to come down right now, who can wait, who cannot wait, type of thing. So we'll get those trees, your trees, entered into the equation as well. Okay. Same thing with
Yeah.
branches. Okay.
So again, you kind of cut in and out there. I think you were saying you wanted to have Maddie kind of work with you guys to prioritize, and I absolutely ask her. I'm sure she'd be happy to do that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing settled, nothing agreed on, no handshakes, just a, hey, if Maddie's brain is, awesome on that, why not pick it and make sure that we're doing what we need to do to get it done, instead of, to Scott's point, we end up with a town with no trees. So.
Sure. Yeah.
We'd
have to work pretty hard to get there, but
that's right. Berlin will be known as the town of the giving tree. So yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right. Are there any other questions for Carolyn and or Mr. Cummings while he's still here in regard to?
Anybody have anything else for me?
I know.
I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think so. And
okay.
Fred, I want to thank you for putting up the stakes over there.
Yes, definitely.
Over there.
Yep.
Yeah, Carolyn, keep us
Thanks for
posted.
getting over there and opening that parking lot up again so quickly.
Yeah, I didn't mean to cause as much commotion as we did.
Right, you didn't. You're fine. It's,
We had the
we're good.
time.
Everyone's good. It's all good. All right. Carolyn, keep us posted. I'll see you at your next meeting. Nice to see you guys meeting in person.
Yes,
So
oh,
I
it was
will.
wonderful.
Yes, it was.
Yep.
Yes, it was. All right, cool. All right. Thank you, Miss Carolyn. Appreciate it.
All
Thank you,
righty,
Mr.
thanks,
Fred. Now you are
guys. I'm gonna
truly
go
good to go.
Gonna go
All
shut
right.
my internet off.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.
Night.
All right. So we're down to the TA12 report.
Okay, I'll start. And June, you're welcome to chime in if I've forgotten anything big. All right, so first of all, we copied you on an email to the Finance Committee with a request for a transfer from the reserve fund. There is a requested reserve fund transfer for $8,000 for the veterans benefits line. As you know, this line can be subject to unexpected charges, and that is what has happened. We don't expect that the requested budget for next year is going to be heavily impacted because a few of these costs that have been paid out are one-time costs, such as funeral expenses. So you've received that for your information.
Don't we get reimbursed for many of those?
Yes, we do. We get 75%, and it can be up to 18 months after the after we spend the money before we get that. So yeah. The next thing is the annual town meeting warrant, a very, very challenging warrant this time around. So I was able to really finalize it today after meeting again with town council. I've notified everybody that the warrant is final, and thank you, board members, for coming in and signing the signature page. It's gone off to Mary to start preparing to upload it to the website, get it ready for posting, or the constable's posting, and the mailing. So that is all set. And now I'm turning my attention to doing the Finance Committee's recommended budget in the town meeting format. And I want to thank June for all of the work that she has done on that. So she and I met today to talk about those numbers. Everything is looking good. We have a deadline this Friday for coronavirus relief funds municipal closeout. We are going to have to submit our closeout documentation and return any remaining funds to the Department of or the Executive Office of Administration and Finance, and I've got to do that by this Friday. We're also, this month, we have an April 29th deadline of submitting all the request forms that employees have submitted for COVID temporary emergency paid sick leave. So I've got a small pile of those that we're going to need to report on to the state by April 29th, and we will potentially get up to $850 for each of those. In some cases, it's going to be less. The chief didn't mention, I don't think, so I'll mention that we actually are going to be submitting an application for a Maya Wellness grant under the Great Places to Work grant program, and that is for fitness equipment or outfitting the employee fitness center downstairs, or the employee fitness room. And the only other thing that I have at the moment is I just wanted to know if Mary, I know Mary submitted the opioids municipal agreement to the Attorney General's office today, and I was wondering if she had heard anything back
No.
from them. No,
They
not
have
yet.
not answered, but
Oh,
I
boy.
sent it with a read receipt, and I
Okay.
haven't seen that they've opened it either.
Okay. All right. So hopefully, can you follow up with them tomorrow if you don't hear anything from them by say noon? I just want to be
Definitely.
sure that
Yep.
we're on their radar. Okay, thanks. And that's it for tonight.
Do we actually have a copy? So the email, I was trying to find it again. The warrant article, so April 10th at 12:34 p.m. That's the latest and final version of the warrant article. right?
The one that I sent today is the final warrant, and I sent it at about 5 o'clock today, maybe 4:30, 5 o'clock. Or did I not? Did I leave it in my draft?
Didn't see it.
Yeah, I don't see
Oh,
it yet.
no. Okay, I'll have to go in and check. It would, unfortunately, it wouldn't be unusual if I just typed it
Margaret,
all
was
up
that
and-
the one that you sent at 5:44, I think?
That's the 544 was the TA
Yes.
search.
Yes, I did. I sent it at 5:44. And I believe, I
Annual
hope,
town meeting warrants and handouts, it says.
I don't know if did the select board? Was the select board? Okay, I'm gonna forward this to everybody just in case you didn't get it. It was submitted, sent to a lot of people. Okay, so that's the final, Scott, that I'm about to resend. And it comes with, an email also has the handouts attached.
Yep.
Okay, so it's all set.
Awesome. All right, anything from TA2?
Oh, I think Margaret got it all.
All right. All right, any questions for Margaret or Miss June on the TA report?
No?
Oh, I just want to add that based on discussions already tonight, I'm writing myself reminders of things I must take care of, such as Berlin Memorial School lease agreement and an intermunicipal agreement with Clinton on a bucket truck. So I'll get it done.
Okay. All right, with the board's permission, I know under old business that we have the update rec fees line item, and I believe Ms. Julie Lee, Chair of Rec, is in the audience, so I didn't know if we could like swap just two items and talk about it, and then let Julie go, and then we'll banter on.
Yeah, I also think Chip is in the audience about the fishing derby. I don't know where that is on the agenda, but we could also move those
That-
forward as well.
That item didn't make it on the agenda, but the board chair has the authority to rearrange
Okay.
agenda items and take up.
Although it
things
looks like he was
afterwards.
brought forward anyway. Anyway. Hi, Julie.
Hello,
Hi,
Miss-
everyone. Hi.
Julie, every
Hi,
time you talk to us, you're in a different room. Do we have to play Guess Where Julie Is with you too?
It's actually a scramble to find what device has the most battery. And then I have to plug it in. So my
Luckily,
kitchen,
the-
welcome to my kitchen.
Really, Julie, they invented things called extension cords, power cords,
I know,
just saying,
dude.
they're new on the market.
No, the
I
power
know.
cords are always in the wrong spot. The number of times my power cords at work instead of home or at home instead of work is more than I care to think about.
Thank you. Amen. Thank you, Scott. Yes, definitely. And we have enough power cords. You've seen our front lawn at Christmas. We have enough power cords. Okay. So just to, everyone has seen the field usage fees that we submitted.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'll explain why it's so conservative, the number with what we have to put out to get the fields up to snuff, as we call it. Our fields really took a hit. I mean, first of all, I think to understand the scope of things, you're looking at almost 10 acres of turf there, including the school side. So that's a lot of green, right? I mean, certainly Fred knows that from mowing. But it's a lot to take care of with fertilizing and weed control and aerating and all that. It's expensive. So the drought killed us because we have no irrigation. So what we have to think about is when we put money into these greens, we want them to last, right? Because it's thousands of dollars that we're pouring into these. But right now, the fields are not at the
Peak.
we had to go conservatively because the product being delivered isn't the best that it can be. So I know that Margaret, you had sent that information over around about what surrounding towns are charging, and we looked at that. And well, first off, they all have irrigation. So they have their grounds are beautiful. It's complete grass. There's no clover, there's no weeds, there's no anything. So until we get to that point, we're just gonna stay conservative and just continue we're doing it in piecemeal anyways, the grounds. I think it's a, larger probably or a bigger conversation to have maybe with capital planning, because it is gonna cost a lot, to do. But we couldn't in good faith charge an expensive fee when the grounds are just not at that level. So that's it.
Margaret, any questions? Chris, Scott?
No, I just want to thank Julie for the detailed information that she provided. And
Oh.
as I said in my email reply, my recommendation would be to approve the fees as the Recreation Committee has submitted, and that the fees be reviewed and approved annually hereafter.
Yeah,
I'll make that motion.
I will second it. I also think as a select board, we should have, working with rec committee, a conversation of how we get out of what I feel might be a downward spiral, because we don't have a Class A field. We have to charge Class B rents, which doesn't give us enough money to bring them up to Class A fields, and that they might become a Class C or Class D or unusable fields at some point if we continue this downward trend. And whether or not we as a town want to invest the money or can invest our money, where we find the money to put in irrigation and get them up to a point where we can charge the same amount as surrounding towns.
All right, Chris, any questions for Mrs. Lee?
No, I agree completely, and I will make a motion to approve.
Yep, second.
All right, motion and a second, lots of chat. Stone eye.
Hawkins, aye.
Keith, aye.
Julie, when's the season kick off? This Saturday? Last Saturday?
It was actually last Saturday. Yep, during the hailstorm.
Oh.
There we were. But this week we're off because of the Derby and the Egg Hunt, and then we resume next weekend, the following weekend.
Cool. All right.
Julie, is the Recreation Committee going to meet on the co-sponsorship for the fishing derby?
We're meeting Wednesday. I posted the meeting, so
Excellent.
yep, we'll be able to do
Good,
that.
okay, great.
Again. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
All right, Miss Julie, have a good night.
Chip
All right,
is here
well-
if you want Julie to stay, but
Julie,
Yeah, I can
Julie,
stay.
wait, don't go.
No, I can stay, don't worry. If you want
All
to
right.
keep on, I'll be here.
Okay, all right, can we bring up Chip? We'll take care of him and then send him on his way.
He's here, but Chip, you're going to need to unmute.
There we
There he
go.
is.
There we go.
We're getting there.
Still on mute there, Chip.
There we
There we
go.
go.
There we go. Technology.
There he is.
There you go. All right. So the annual fishing derby, nice to see that it is back in play. Down at the town pond, it always amazes me how around that little pond you can stick like 8,000 people, with no like fish hooks going into someone's eye.
No injuries ever.
Ever. Knock wood. Knock wood. All right.
Don't
So,
ever say that, Peg.
I was gonna
Yeah, I didn't say anything.
I'll be
Didn't say
there.
anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Nip,
It wasn't
Got it.
recorded at all. It doesn't
Rewind.
exist at all.
it's all set. All right. So Margaret, what do we need to do pending rec input on this week?
Exactly. So
Anything?
the select board is going to, Mary has already prepared the draft letter authorizing the fishing derby to happen. Recreation Committee is going to meet on Wednesday to confirm their co-sponsorship of the event. So the only thing the board has to do right now is vote to approve the use of the pond. Now, do we rope off the pond until then so you can stock fish, or how does that work?
We put some signage out. We've got 6 signs that go around it after Tuesday after we stock it.
Mhm.
And that's about it.
Okay.
Chief Sartner will be aware that the police will keep an eye on it just to keep people out of there. But that's why we asked in the letter for permission to close it. Julie agreed with us. It's the same thing we've done for the last probably 5 or 6 years. We put the signs out.
Okay. All right.
and
So
then
the
I-
board just, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chip.
And then I asked about putting the other sign up also. The reason we do it before school vacation week is so the kids during vacation week can go fish and have something to do in town. So that's the other reason we wanted to put the other sign up, to restrict it to just Berlin residents 16 and under, to post those on the poles. Because we find people from Marlboro and Northborough and all that over there fishing, and we have no recourse to say, hey, can you leave? It's from Berlin kids. You know,
Everyone wants a fish. All right, so the select board just needs to approve the posting of the signs around the pond and subject to the recreation committee's vote to co-sponsor the event.
So moved.
Second, this is pretty easy. This is easy.
Really?
to
Well,
support.
so Chip, is there gonna be like a release of the fish like they've had before? Where the, you know, the
Tuesday.
truck comes in and there's,
yeah, a whole bunch of the kids will come over from school. You know, my kids are going down. Hunter Gleason's going down. It's been put out to a bunch of the kids to come down and carry a 5-gallon bucket over and, you know, put the fish in the pond. It takes about a little over an hour and a half because we put a lot in there. As you can see in the letter, we spent a lot of money on good large fish so that the kids have something to catch that's going to give them a little run for their money when they're hooking it. So
Is it all trout? I'm just curious.
I'm gonna get pulled in.
yeah, no, nothing that big.
well, and remember, if you get pulled into that pond, all you gotta do is stand up. It's really only
I
about
know.
ways to do
Yeah,
it.
you're not drunk. Stand up. Yeah.
Stand up. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah.
So
All
you're
right.
talking catfish.
That's right. All right. Motion and a second, contingent on Miss Julie's meeting this week. Stone Eye.
Hawkins, aye.
Keith, I.
Chip,
And
will
then-
there be like, no, I don't want to call them vendors, but there were other things down there a couple years ago when we had them.
So way back, we had the Lions Club helped us. Michael did a big breakfast and all that stuff. And we talked about it this year. And since we're gearing back up from sort of laid back last year, we're just going to have donuts and drinks and stuff. And if we can get it geared back up and we get enough participation this year, then we'll gear back up to next year, getting the big tent, doing the pancake breakfast in the morning. So serving a full breakfast and coffee for the adults and stuff like that. But it takes a little bit more logistics and we're not sure how many people we're going to get, you know, post pandemic and with vacation time. So if we get a
So-
good, better turnout than last year, then we'll gear it up for next year and line it up. And I'll get a hold of you guys a lot sooner than this week.
Yeah, that's fine. Chip, do for the people who are watching this on playback or others, do the sales pitch. What time does it start? How do people sign up?
So 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. or 11 a.m. We're doing it then because you've got the Easter egg hunt coming at noon. We figured we'd make it an hour earlier. The fish like early morning. So we'll start fishing at 7. There's flyers at the store. All the kids at school got a flyer that went home in their backpacks on Friday. Well, most of them, because I've already talked to 2 parents who didn't get it. But we've got flyers with us at the derby so you can sign your kid up. We keep track of it. I'll be keeping the records this year and just scoring, you know, who gets the first fish, biggest fish, all that stuff. Usually we make a board up and that goes down to the general store after the event's all over. So everybody can see who got what for fish, as we've done since I was a kid. You know, it used to be just a piece of paper got posted on the wall and now we do a little bit more fancier, but it's a good tradition to keep going here in town.
Do they
When is-
have the stocking the pond after school or is it?
It'll be after school. Yeah, we
Okay.
don't disrupt the school grounds during the school hours. So I think it's
Okay,
4 and 4:30. They're supposed to arrive. They're coming from the Cape. The hatcheries down there that we buy from. So given traffic and whatnot, you know, it's sort of a leeway. We just sort of hang out, wait for them to arrive.
and that's Wednesday, you said?
Tuesday, tomorrow.
Tuesday.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Give them a couple days to acclimate to the water,
Yeah.
get a little more comfy and, you know, feed the snapping turtles for a day or so.
Yeah, you gotta make sure you get there early so you get on the side with the field behind you, so there's not the wire above you.
We were looking at that yesterday at how many they're still hanging from that are from way back when I remember doing it. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, Julie, keep us posted if you want to whiz us out an email, tell us that you're good to go. And then we'll hope for, anybody check the weather on Saturday? Is it good? Can't be any worse than hail and
Supposed to
thunder.
be, I thought
Yeah.
it's supposed to be a good day.
Yeah, looks like good.
Yeah.
yep.
Awesome.
So
All right. Well, thank
And
you
the
both
other-
for
Thank
doing
you.
this. Thanks for bringing
Hello.
fun back to Berlin. We appreciate you guys.
Yeah, that's
All right.
awesome.
All righty. Have a good
are
Thank
night.
we
you.
okay with those
Good
other
night.
signs?
Thank you.
Yes, we are definitely. It's all
Yes.
approved.
Yep, all
Okay,
approved.
perfect. Perfect.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. All right, have a
Thanks.
good one.
All right.
Bye.
Have a good
Thank you.
one.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Okay, I'm getting there, a little hopping around, but that's all right. So next up, River Bridge mitigation negotiation updates. Margaret, June, Chris, anyone?
I did not have a lot of notes. We did have Carl Ayers from the town's engineer at the meeting, which I think was very helpful. And the next thing I have in my notes is May 3rd, 12 noon. That's the next meeting. So if you guys want to fill in the gaps.
Yeah. So, well, this was the first meeting I've attended for a little while, and there are active discussions going on about the design and construction of the bridge and connecting sidewalks down there. And that is the reason why Carl Ayers with VHB, that's why we've engaged VHB to participate in this as the town's technical reviewer, because the Sennies had already started having their design consultants. It's Waterman Consulting and UEL Contractors. They had involved them already. So in the town's best interest, of course, we're going to engage our own engineers to review all of the drawings and to make recommendations in the interest of the town. So that's where we're at. And as of our last meeting, Chris Senni was going to be sending Carl the CAD drawings that they had, and Carl is going to be reviewing them. What am I missing? Anything else? We
Payment due
have,
this week?
excuse me, payment
Payment.
due Friday. Is that the 15th Friday? Or is it, am I wrong?
Payment is Friday, 15th.
Okay, yeah, so payment due on Friday. And over the course of the past week or so, we realized that the calendar year 2020 leasehold share payment has not been received by the town. So Mary was kind enough to prepare a letter to the Sennies reminding them that that payment is overdue, and reminding them that the report on the 2021 Boundless Adventures leasehold revenue shares, that letter is also coming due. So that deadline, oh, I want to say May 6th. Is that correct, Mary?
After the 6th, it's one of those.
Yeah. So that's coming up very soon as well.
So it's 16,000 this Friday, not the 16th, not the 19th, because I'm thinking that is the office open on the 18th? That's tax day. The office open? No?
The office is open on the 18th, but
No, not the 18th. It's
Not the
Patriots
18th,
Day.
it's for Patriots Day.
All right.
19th Tuesday.
All right, so I'm hoping that it's on the 15th and not the 19th, where we're gonna start skipping days. So that's 16,000. 28,000, that's for the 2020 lease agreement that they owe us. That's May 5th or 6th, one of those. Margaret, what's the amount?
It
for
is
Boundless?
6th is the due date.
May
Okay,
6th is the due. That's a Friday.
okay, and the Boundless Adventures?
I'm
That's
sorry,
the
that
one
is
that's-
Boundless Adventures is May 6th.
Okay, all right, so that's 28,
Mhm.
all right.
Yeah.
So what's that for? So we expect $44,000 from River Bridge total in a matter of a couple weeks.
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
Now, we do have an article, and this really doesn't have a lot of bearing on the Boundless Adventures lease payment. That is not a public safety mitigation payment, so that must be deposited to the general fund. The other payment that we're receiving on the 15th is a public safety mitigation, and based on our town meeting vote, that will be deposited to the Public Safety Special Stabilization Fund, along with all future public safety mitigation payments.
So we have that stabilization money from April, and then we have it from March, so Peg can do easy math. So that's 28,000 to public safety.
Yeah,
Does that
plus-
need to be, go ahead.
Plus the Highland Commons mitigation, public safety mitigation payment has been received.
All right, yeah, I'm not worried about Highland Commons. They're pretty good. So for that, the safety mitigation money, Margaret, is there anything, or June, is there anything to be voted on at town meeting in regard to that? Where is that going?
Mhm.
I know that fire and police are, bucking for communication money for radios and things like that.
So the article on the warrant, it covers the period between November 8th, 2021 and June 30th, 2022. And if that is voted affirmatively, that would move any money received during that period over to the Public Safety Special Stabilization Fund. You'll remember that back in November, town meeting has already voted to automatically put public safety mitigation funds into that special stabilization fund effective July 1, 2022. So we just
Okay.
have to cover this period and we should be all set.
All right. So,
Is that correct?
Yeah, I was just going to add that we are planning on using it to offset the police budget and the fire lowest paid wage. So there are a couple of items there, and then they were also going to use some money for, I believe, the cruiser and
The Bridge Academy
the bridge.
and another fire vehicle.
okay. All right. So, Miss June, will you be in the office on Friday, or will Dennis?
We both will be in the office on Friday because it is warrant day again. So,
Oh, yay! Everyone loves early warrant day. So then obviously before either one of you go, will you send a quick note to all of us of whether payment was received or not? You're the bomb. All right. All right. Anything else on that dead horse that we continue to beat?
I did want to ask while we're talking about River Bridge. Remind me, Margaret or June, the ALS study money has been appropriated.
Mhm.
And do we have any kind of a report on that
No.
as far as, you know,
I
concerning?
thought Fred just said that, sorry, Fred, I thought Chief Clark just said that they're asking questions that are wrapping it up.
No.
And
Okay.
So it doesn't expect it to be that much longer.
Part of the scope of their work is to come to the board with a report, with their findings. So
Okay,
that should
great.
be coming in the near future.
Yep. And then I think we reached out, or you reached out, Margaret, to Eloise about the number of children down at the
I did.
apartments.
I did.
I'm just trying to get my ducks in a row as far as our next meeting with Riverbridge. And there were 15 children with 4 that are already included, I believe, in that number because they had lived in Berlin and then moved to the apartments.
Yeah. So it's a total of 19 now at the apartments.
Oh, I thought that meant the 4 were included in the 15.
No, I think it's 4 in addition. They were actually counted on the census somewhere else before they moved to the apartment. So they've now moved to the apartments.
Okay, well, one way or the other, that's
Yeah.
more than what we thought they had there.
Yes.
All right.
And the impact to the school, because I thought that, you know, part of the reason those apartments were going up is that the impact was going to be low.
Right.
So what's it doing to the school?
Well, I don't know exactly if it's had a huge effect on the school at this point. But one of the things that Peg, you and Scott could do is to look at the fiscal impact study and see if you agree with it or disagree with it, because the Sennies and the group that meets with them, we're going to discuss that at one point, and the Sennies would like feedback from department heads and the board members.
I have to say, speaking for department heads, we don't have a whole lot of time to be looking at a fiscal impact study for them. But there are 2 things that I can think of right off the top of my head that I do have issues with. Number 1, the fact that there wouldn't be any kids, or the number of kids would be so low that it would have little impact. Number 2, oh gosh, what was the second thing I was just thinking of? It was
I'm thinking of one too.
Highland, a reference to Highland Commons. I'm sorry, it's a different development, and we shouldn't be saying, oh, Highland Commons will cover any mitigation payments. No. It's a separate, completely separate legal agreement. So I have issues with those 2 points.
Yes.
And so this fiscal agreement was the one that was written before they developed anything, or is this one that's
No.
like whether or not
This
that
is
original
more-
one actually lived up to what it said it was going to be?
This is a
This
more recent one,
and
Scott.
I can forward it to the board again. It's been a while since.
Yeah, we had it done like in the last year or so.
Yeah.
But there wasn't, I don't think that anyone had
'Cause-
moved into the apartments at that point.
Right.
Now they have, and we know how many kids are there, or at least approximately.
'Cause it's also
Um,
true that those apartments are paying significantly higher property taxes than they did as a field.
Right, right. And so one of the things in the fiscal impact study is that Riverbridge believes that they are how do they describe it, Margaret?
I'm just writing
plus-
the
a
impact
plus
we're
to
trying
the
to get.
town.
So let's say we all agree that they're a six-figure plus to the town. What difference does that make for the stuff going forward versus if we think there are a six-figure negative impact to the town? I mean, I still think any future development for the rest of their space is still, the decisions will still be based on whether or not that future development on its own is good or bad for the town.
Well, I think it also, there's a matter of, we have a contract.
That's
And
exactly
They
it.
both want to, be true to that contract, the town and the Riverbridge. And if we have obligations, we should fulfill them. If they have obligations, they should fulfill them.
Right, but whether or
think
not
that's just
they've been
the way
a
it
net
is.
tax benefit to the town or net tax drain on the town is not aligned in the contract. That doesn't, just because, let's say they
Exactly.
are a six-figure net benefit to the town, doesn't mean they're out of their fiscal obligations. And just because
Exactly.
if they're a net negative to the town. And so I don't know whether or not the feasibility study has any impact on whether or not they should be forced to live up, and the town forced to live up to our obligations underneath the agreement.
Well, and that's, I guess, the point that may be discussed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll look it over, but
Yeah.
like, again, whether or not they should be forced to pay what they said they're going to pay, if they're a net benefit to them, great. So they're a better benefit to the town than they originally thought. That doesn't mean they don't owe us the money that's in the contract.
Exactly.
No,
It's
Just
all,
because,
it's
just because I
also-
like my job better than I thought I was going to like my job doesn't mean they suddenly can pay me less.
Well, there's still some other things that I think that will be negotiated, or they would like to negotiate. Things such as the ambulance service, and whether or not, I think we all agree that we're not going to have two ambulance services. We're going to use the towns, but at what cost to the town? And what we can, what we can give and take on, and what they can give and take on, if anything. So
Yeah.
that's basically,
it's about honoring the
thinking about.
obligations and the agreement on both sides. So.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And in
So,
terms
yeah,
of negotiation, I think I've been pretty clear as to where I stand, and you all know where I stand, that money is owed. Money has been owed for a long time.
And
Pay
I
your
think
bill.
that-
Pay your bill from 2 years ago. Pay your bill from longer than that. Pay your bill now. You have a fiduciary responsibility to the town. Get on it.
And they
Enough said.
know that, Peg, but we don't want to create any more friction than already was created. We understand. Margaret and I understand.
Hmm.
And
We're
June,
trying to, we have to, we just have to keep reinforcing that there are obligations in the development agreement, and we need to honor those. We just need to honor those, both
Yeah.
parties, both sides.
right.
So
So,
I will, I'll step down off my soapbox on that one. Okay.
and if you have anything, share it with Margaret and June and I, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Mr.
I'll
Hawkins,
send that
anything else?
tomorrow,
Send what tomorrow,
Okay.
Margaret?
the fiscal impact study.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. All right. So done. Everyone's not favorite topic. Next steps, TA replacement.
Okay, so we already have an approved job description. That's a first step. And so I uploaded a couple of things to the board's agenda folder tonight. I did do the red lines on the ideal candidate profile and challenge statement that MRI had worked with the town on. And I did red lines on the town administrator job ad. So I didn't know if you have any questions or comments on that, on either one of those. The other thing too is, as we'll throw it in here, I did speak with MRI's president, Alan Gould. He's going to be sending me 2 options to share with the board regarding the TA search. The first is an assistance package, which would run about $4,500. The second is a comprehensive package that would cost approximately $9,800. So as soon as I receive those, I'm going to forward them to the board.
Are we allowed to share our biases now and which one of those we're interested in pursuing?
This is open. This is the board discussion. So,
I mean, I think with the amount of work that needs to get done, that I would be in sort of the $9,800 bucket to make sure this gets the attention it deserves and moves forward. That as you know, Margaret, the change of TA wasn't exactly something we were thinking was going to be happening potentially 4 or 5 months ago. And there's a lot of the stuff between COVID and other stuff that is just on the to-do list that I'm sure you would like to get done before the end. And I'd hate to have you, putting in 10 hours a week or so to get us through this process just to save us $5,000. I'd rather your expertise and connections now to get through some more critical stuff. So the town's in a good place when I think it's a good place. You've done great over the last 3 years, nothing against that, but I think I'd rather I'd be more in favor of the larger package.
you want me focusing on the town's business, and
Right.
I appreciate that, and I'd like to focus on the town's business too.
Yeah, I mean, is there, what's included exactly in each package? I guess I'd be, it might even fall between the two.
I sent the board an email, and I wish
Yeah.
I'm going to have to
I'm
dig it
all
up.
about negotiation.
I did a list. So the comprehensive one is essentially what MRI conducted last time. And from a candidate's perspective, it was the most thorough, comprehensive recruitment I've ever been through in my career. So I have to say they did an excellent job. So that involved, and I'm going to try to wing it here. I had listed it in an email to the board. That involved the posting of the job on the MRI recruitment page on MMA, gathering all the resumes, screening the resumes, conducting telephone interviews, doing essay exercises.
Margaret, you want me to read the list?
Yeah, you got it? Okay.
Yeah, so steps previously done by MRI, advertisement on recruitment site, gather and review all resumes, applications, documents, narrow pool of candidates based on resume review, conduct phone interviews for remaining candidates, narrow pool further, assign and review essay exercises 3 for remaining pool of candidates, organize and attend preliminary interviews by local screening committee, schedule final interviews with the board, conduct comprehensive background/reference check, and then finally facilitate contract negotiations.
They really did. They worked start to finish essentially, and they really did do an excellent job. So I'm not going to make a recommendation here. I do appreciate what Scott is saying, however.
Would Steve be doing this search again?
Steve Rollins, maybe. It could be another former manager. And there was also, I can't remember the other gentleman's name, but they still have the teams in place. It could be the same two that do it again. I don't know for sure,
Okay.
but
All right,
they're
just
still-
curious.
Margaret, you had also sent us an email today, I believe, about the makeup of the committee.
I just wanted to, I wanted to offer my observations based on the Select Board Town Administrator Act. So that act specifically requires the town administrator to serve as the budget director, the chief procurement officer, personnel director, and it requires that the town administrator work alongside the capital planning committee. So my initial thought, and I don't want to volunteer our wonderful volunteers, but my initial thought was it would be fantastic if the chairs of the finance committee, personnel committee, and capital planning committee would be willing to serve on that search committee, because they have very unique perspectives and they could ask the candidates questions to seek answers that they're looking for.
All right.
I mean, I think, go ahead, Peg.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so in addition to those people, I think obviously we'll need a a staff representative or two. Someone from potentially the big three, and then someone from other parts of it. And I wouldn't mind seeing some people who were on the original committee that sort of designed the act to be on the committee as well. And I also don't want a committee that's 35 people. And so.
Correct. And that was going to be my comment. I mean, I think we need to cap it because obviously the more people that you put into it, I don't want to have it so tight that 3 people are going to make a decision, but I don't want to have it so broad that it takes a day and a half to figure it out. So Margaret, you're talking what? Finance, personnel?
Yep. And capital planning.
Capital planning. What about CPA?
CPA would be wonderful. I mean, that wasn't up and running when I came, but that would be a great one. Now, I know that Tim Wheeler served on the screening committee for this, for my position. So I don't know if he'd be willing to do that again. He's the chair of the CPA committee.
What about and I'm gonna not voluntold him, but I'm gonna like toss his name out there. What about Mr. Hanks? He seems to have fingers in a lot of things. I mean,
well, Richard brings that's a great suggestion because Richard has worked in several towns, has worked with several administrators. He has many years of municipal experience. I think that he might be a good choice, really.
Yeah, I mean, look at all the work that he's done for the
generates a lot of revenue for the town as well.
I just look at all his work on the insurance stuff, holy crap, that man. So, all right, so that right there, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5. And then,
no,
go ahead. I'm
no,
just
I was gonna
counting.
say, well, let me just say something when you're finished.
No, go.
I was just gonna say that would it make a difference if the pool of candidates was so small? If maybe perhaps MRI comes up with only 3 finalists that they want to move forward to, like a screening committee group, would we bypass the screening committee group and just bring them to us?
No, I still want, I think it's important to have a broad spectrum of town have a chance at this. And so I thought when I was on the last sort of selection meeting, I thought there was only like 7 of us, and I thought we only were given 3 or 4 people. We weren't given a large group of people to interview.
I don't remember how many there were originally.
Originally, there were 68 resumes received, I believe.
Holy crap, that man.
Well, the market has changed a lot, though.
Oh,
Yep.
I know. All right.
I mean, it might be something to think about.
Yeah. All right, so we have those 5. Scott, you're thinking maybe somebody
I
from the
want
old.
someone from the old TA sort of design, the people who sort of had the first vision of what this should be like, who I think did a great job at designing the act and pushing it forward. I think we need at least a department head. I think in a perfect universe, potentially even a union rep. But I mean, but I think we might invite all these people, and some of them just might not be able to make it, and so it might just out of its own attrition just get us down to the right size. I think 9 is the maximum size I think they should be. I think 7 is the number we should aim for.
Could it be that they are involved, but perhaps in a different way if there aren't that many
when I was on the committee, I had no formal title anywhere in town. It's just that I've had my fingers in a bunch of different things and had been around for a while. And as a manager outside of work, that I've done a lot of hiring. And so they put me on it. And so I think
you did a nice job, Scott. I think I remember you introducing yourself as a former member of finance and a former member of the historical commission.
Right.
So what about involving, instead of having interviews, perhaps it could evolve into something where we involve them in helping us to pick out questions or.
No, I really think, I think in-person interviews for a broad spectrum of town is a very important part of the process. I don't want to do anything that diminishes having a broad spectrum of people have some input into who the next town administrator is. I don't think
Okay.
I'd want them just to pick questions. I don't think I want them just to read resumes. I think there's something about in-person from abroad, because I think they might bring to us. So the last committee brought to the select board only one candidate. It could be we decide that the last group sends 2 or 3 to the select board so that we have a bigger say in who the finalist is. But
There were 3 candidates that came to the select board.
Yeah.
there were 3? Oh,
There
there
were
were 3
3,
that came
there were
in.
3.
So that probably means we interviewed 5 or 6 at the previous level.
So I'm just
I remember
thinking of,
because I think we had a strong flavor for one of those 3.
Geez, I wonder who.
yeah.
Not
So-
And
the
although
other
we're-
Margaret in the group. Mhm.
although we do potentially on this list end up with a sort of area of domains that we want to cover, it could be there are people who cover multiple of them.
Yeah, someone like a Tim Wheeler, not to name any
Right.
names, but someone like a Tim
Right.
Wheeler, who I believe was on that initial town
He was,
administrative act development committee,
Yeah.
and as a CPA chair, planning board member, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, so you have department head people there, and even if Mr. Hanks, if we can get him to do it, so that
Right.
kind of solves that
Yeah.
requirement.
Yep.
All
I
right.
still think sort of between police, fire, and highway, we should have one of those 3
1, correct.
there. Yes, yeah.
All right, so.
yeah, I mean, Peg, you remember the group for the fire chief at the time, and it just got so wieldy and out of
Yeah, yeah.
hand.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, let's keep
I
this.
think we have some weeks because we haven't even agreed on what the process is going to look like. And I think
Right.
even if in our next meeting, we decide to engage someone and sign a contract, we still by the time they advertise and put it out there, we still have another month to have sort of the committee. And so we have some time to think about this and fine tune it and think of
Right.
names. There's like people like Bill Tomasino, who's been on FinCom a bunch, who was on the original hiring committee, who also does volunteer stuff around town, who also has those in a bunch of places. And I'm sure we all could come up with a half dozen names that would all be great. So.
Right, well, that's just it, and I would rather open it up to the public per se and have them express interest, because I don't want the 3 of us to be like, oh, well, I like, well, no, I like, well, no, I like, and then all of a sudden, it's,
got all
oh,
of
well, the board's trying to swing a vote by picking people. So I'd
If people
rather.
are watching these meetings, the 3 of us are not going to swing at one particular direction because we have 3 very strong different opinions about these things. We might work together quite well, but we definitely have our sort of different visions.
Oh, I know, but Scott, you know how ugly yuckiness starts. So you know what,
Oh,
if we can.
I'm sure
stick it-
somewhere around town, people are talking about how we ran Margaret out. So,
No, let's make that clear for the record.
All right, okay, so somebody signed at the 8:41 minute mark. Please tell Brittany to scrub that comment from Scott. All right, so we're kind of sort of agreeing on finance, personnel, CPA, CPC, maybe Mr. Hanks, maybe a department head, 1 representative from fire/police/highway. That gives us
Now,
8.
if you're going to do that, though, you're not going to get people that volunteer to do it involved, because
Right.
you've kind of already picked people. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
but I understand that, but but FinCom personnel, CPA, CPC, those are people that Margaret works with. So you have to have
Right,
representatives from those
but
groups.
so are all 3 of the department heads. So we can make the same argument that all 3 of the department heads should be there. We're going to have to find a way to I think these are domains we want
We're gonna have
generally
to, like,
covered, but
narrow
there'll
it
have to some
down.
we might not
You don't
work.
want a dozen people. It'll be too
No,
much.
as Scott said, 8, 7
Well,
to 9.
even 8 is a lot of people.
Okay, all right.
If
Well,
you have
and
4 with
let's-
those committee chairs, and 1 who is actually a committee chair and a member of that original TA Act committee, you've only got 4. So, you still have, 3 more that you could work with.
All right.
If I do the
Well,
math
it's-
right.
No, you know what? We've started the discussion, I would love to have somebody from fire, but, don't forget too, Chief Clark is resigning, at
Right.
the end of the year. So,
So maybe we have three or 4 assigned figures, and then let the other 3 seats come from people who volunteer.
well, and then, we'll have to come up with just like minimal criteria of why I want to be on the pick a TA board.
Well, and it's our appointment, so.
Yes, yeah, okay, all right. All right, so Margaret, you'll send us the stuff once you get it from MRI
Yes, I
on
will.
package 1, package 2. We
Yep.
kind of sort of maybe had limited agreement on who needs to be on the panel. We agree no less than 7, no more than 9, keep it small. And then what would be next steps, Margaret, do you think? Wait, do you have any idea when you'll get the stuff back from MRI?
No, I would imagine pretty quickly. I'll bug him as early as tomorrow.
Right.
All right,
And our next meeting is in 2 weeks, so I'm kind of hoping we have it by then.
Correct.
Oh, yes. I'm
Correct.
hoping you have it all by coffee talk. I don't know if you'd want to extend coffee talk at all, but yeah, you'll definitely.
I'd have no problem spending 5 minutes of coffee talk to just approve this so I can continue more, because I live in some fear that we're not going to get this done in time.
don't say that.
10 weeks. It's
I
10
know,
weeks
I
from
know.
now.
I know, and even though we say, oh, look, we've got, by the time all this stuff happens, you interview, you bring someone in, they give their notice, you got to give them time to work with
Right.
Margaret on what's going on.
I'll be there to
The
help
end
them
of
out
June,
no matter
right.
what, whenever they arrive.
The end
Yeah.
of June will be here before you know it. So we need to giddy up as much as we can. All right, so we're going. Yay. All right. Next fun topic is the ARPA potential projects, review of the CPC process, start the paperwork, and discuss cleanup of some of the buildings with that. So here's why I threw that one in there. I know we kind of crossed it off last week, but I also know there's an article or an item that we left on it for discussion about assessments of the building. So I'm thinking, can't really assess a building if it's full of crap. And we all kind of agreed last week that crap needs to go. And everyone kind of sort of was in agreement of pick a date, come down, move your stuff, or it goes into a dumpster, which you can use. We can, this is another one, Scott, with like the tree stuff where it's close, but we need a little bit more information. This stuff here of cleanup of the buildings. Margaret, can we use ARPA funds to like rent a dumpster?
Oh, yes. I
Okay.
mean, if the board decides you want to do that, you could, yes.
All right.
It's a one-time cost. You're cleaning
Correct.
out.
Correct. So, is that something that we should be discussing? Because there's the building that has the hole in it, which is the old fire barn, the building with Rudolph. I don't know what that building's called. I just call it the building with Rudolph. And then the old town barn, which I'm sure if we all open the doors, we'd probably be in amazement of how much crap is in
I
there.
wouldn't remove town office building on Linden Street from the list either.
There's a lot of
I
stuff
think-
that needs to go.
I think if
Really?
you had a dumpster that just sat out back and just asked people to, like, on this day, the dumpster's going to be there, things that are in your area that you think you can get rid of, get rid of. And I think we'd need a little time so that TA 1 and 2 could find those corners where nobody seems to have ownership of and say, okay, we think everything in this room is going away unless you claim it for yourself. We probably could fill a dumpster pretty easily for town hall too.
I think and also probably a shredder. We may have
Yeah.
to ask for the shredding.
Yeah.
company.
Yep. Another building that I'm thinking of, again, it's on Lincoln Street. American Vets Building,
Yep.
Little Girl Scout Building, that
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Is
Old,
that our
Old West
building?
School, the Old West School. Yep.
Thank you. Yep. So right
Another
there, you've
historic
got
building in
1,
town.
2, 3, 5 buildings. You've got 5 buildings that truly need to be cleaned up. And I think we have to kind of sort of in a nice way, but a firm way, say it doesn't mean pick your crap out of one building and put it in another.
Well-
Keep it, take care of it, or get rid of it. Those are your options, but stuff has to
We
go.
actually had a little discussion with Fred this morning, and we have furniture still floating around the building at Linden Street of broken chairs that used to be in the building, or broken tables that need one extra leg, or that someday
I mean-
project we'll sit down and do. So there's a lot of things that
Well, and it used to be a mindset of a majority of people that when you had a table that had one broken leg on it, you hold on to it so someday you would fix it. And we are a disposable society that does sometimes make me sad, but I also am not a hold on to things. And so there could still be but a chunk of those could go. Maybe the direction we should take for this is at an upcoming department head meeting that
Which
that
happens
TA
to be
wanted.
tomorrow.
Oh, good.
Tomorrow.
That there's,
very
if you could
timely.
find, if you could spend a little bit of time on like how that could best be coordinated, because
Yep.
I don't want to, I know that staff in town are busy. And I don't want to just suddenly say, okay, by Earth Day on the 23rd of April, we're having 5 dumpsters show up. At the end of the day, the whole building's had to be empty. I want to do it in a way that is sort of respectful of their time, respectful of some
Right.
planning. And so get their feedback is the best way to do it. And it doesn't have to be, 5 dumpsters on the same day at all, one at each building. It could be, we're going to do these buildings first because it's the right time for these folks. And that, right, at the highway, at the old firehouse and Rudolph building, we don't need shredding boxes, but clearly at town offices, we need shredding boxes. So when is the right stuff to do and when is a good time? I would
We could
almost
probably-
encourage people to clean up digital trash as well as physical trash, clean up your inboxes, clean up the file folders as well. And I know that a friend of mine who worked for, I hate doing company names, worked for a large insurance company in Boston. They had a week where they had even prizes for the people who got rid of the most digital stuff or the most stuff out of their office. I don't know how they measured it all, but I think we could have a celebration of
We have the
cleaner,
perfect
more organized
department
stuff.
head to oversee all of that. Victoria likes to do these challenges, so we might be able to get her into it.
So Margaret, along with the department heads, I mean, obviously we're going to need to involve, I'm gonna bet there's Boy Scout stuff in there. I'm gonna bet
Mhm.
there's Lions Club stuff
Mhm.
in there. And basically, if the door was open, I bet you crap got moved into it. So, we've got to get the message out to them. And I do, I agree with Scott. We need to be respectful to say, we're working on the process, but guess what? Heads up, it's time to
This
clean up
summer.
your mess.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's gotta
Yeah.
go. It's
We also have
got
a
to go.
storage, we also have a storage room downstairs that has all elective boards also, and appointed boards, files from when we moved that still have not either been unpacked or gone through, or a
Really?
lot of empty cases.
Mm.
Yeah, so it might just be if we can set up some times, I think, for
Yeah.
Mhm.
people to be able to do it, even if it means closing the offices,
Yeah.
for an afternoon
Yeah.
here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, offices closed for 5 days. One of the reasons I like tossing things so much is it's easier to find what you're looking for if the pile is smaller.
Oh, you aren't
Yeah.
kidding.
Yep.
Well, and it's funny because there was a note on Fred's report. I don't know if anybody caught it, but it was, that there were items moved from the 1870 to some other building. And I'm thinking, what was moved and where did
Right.
it go?
Yeah.
And how was it moved? And yeah, is it your 3-legged table or is it truly something, and it's going to be of value. It just can't be, wow, that's a really nice, no. That's why I'm saying we need to put some tangible stuff around it.
Why don't we-
Otherwise,
why don't we let this, maybe during their department head meeting tomorrow, they can figure this all out and we'll
Yep.
just look at the results.
And then
So we don't have
Margaret,
to
if
be
there is
involved
around
in the
somewhere
day-to-day.
is there a file retention policy for paper files that we can remind people of just
Oh,
because
yeah.
I think that would help people when they're looking at it. If the file retention says this has to be held for 20 years and it's now a 40-year-old document.
Yeah,
here it
we
goes.
do
If it's a-
have the state, the
Right.
Secretary of State puts that out, yes.
Yep.
all right, so Margaret or June, whoever's going to the department head, could we put on the next real agenda for the 25th? I'm looking up at the calendar to get an update on
Mhm.
feelings, input, shock, awe. And then, of course, if they're all in agreement, which would be awesome, then if one of you or both of you could guide us on truly what we need to do we can use this as our guinea pig on ARPA money, CPC process, and then we just use it for everything else.
Mhm.
Right,
Okay.
because this is not going to be a giant dollar amount. I mean, as things go, this is not a $2 million bridge, you know?
No. Yeah, there was an article in the Community Advocate, Northborough, I think, got a chunk of ARPA money. And they kind of did the same thing that we did, that they invited the public. And, but they got to meet in person and people would put stuff up on the board. So, you know, us doing it and gathering input via email is kind of nice to see that other towns are doing it as well.
Oh, yes,
Right.
many other towns did that, yeah.
All right, coolio. All right, so more to come on ARPA. All right, down to placeholders. I know it's getting late. TA 1, 2, do you have any recommendations for hires? It's just our placeholder.
I don't today.
Okay.
Tomorrow night, the Personnel Committee, I hope, will be approving, will give and have the Personnel Committee approve the job ads for the 2 highway positions because those really need to go up.
That's for Fred and Dylan.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Also, I think you have to follow up too on the police officer. Job
Oh, they
description.
do,
also.
yes.
All right, that's Wednesday, personnel.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's tomorrow. I'm sorry, Wednesday. It's not tomorrow night. It's Wednesday.
Stop wishing the week away. All right, down to some quicker items. Approval of the 2021 annual town report, direct printing.
I think
So
that's just
everybody
copy.
should have received. I
Ooh.
think Mary and Lori did a really nice job.
Yes, they did.
I picked up even the revised copy.
Ooh.
Mhm.
No, it looks good. I had a chance to read it this weekend. Nice picture of Laurie and, there you go, Laurie and Barry on the front. So very, very cool. All right. So we just need to approve to let it roll and print. How many copies did we decide on?
I'd suggest like 500,
That was my thought as well.
Okay. All right.
only because a little birdie told me that would be a neat number. It's a good number earlier today.
Okay. So is there a motion to print 500 copies?
So moved.
Second,
All right. Motion and a second. Stone Eye.
Hawkins, aye.
Keith, I.
Chaka. All right. Yay. Margaret, anything left over on that we need to do?
I don't believe so. Mary, is there anything else that you know of?
No.
Okay, thank you. Good.
All right, so that's a go. All right, next up, I caught it last week and I had reached out to Margaret where Chief Shartner had talked about, oh, Chief Clark's leaving. And I'm thinking, oh, what BOS meeting did I sleep through on that? So thank you for sending the email. Apologies if I totally saw it and just refused to believe it.
No,
and
I apologize
deleted
that
it.
it wasn't sent to the board in January. When
Okay, all right. So along with finding a new TA1, we got to find a new chief for fire. But hey, you know, chief's been in this a long time. He
Deja
deserves,
vu, huh?
yeah, he deserves to move along and play with Ava and the dog. So Margaret, what do we need to do for next steps for his replacement?
Well, it wouldn't hurt since we're talking with MRI now, wouldn't hurt to talk with MRI about possibly taking this one on as well.
All right.
But my only incident, I would love to have experience with another recruitment company, not just MRI.
Mhm.
I don't think they've done a bad job by us at all, but I also don't like putting all our eggs into one basket.
Yep.
I don't mind you reaching out, but that's just my 2 cents.
So there is another recruitment company specifically for public safety called Badge Quest. I haven't looked into them lately. Yeah, I haven't looked into them lately, but I can contact them as well.
I think
And-
Berlin used Badge Quest before, but it was
Yeah,
before I came
Chris,
on.
didn't we, when you and I were on the board together, did we not? I thought Badge Quest was like in the mix. They came down, a couple people did.
Well, I don't think that they
presentations
got
for us.
back to you, Peg. You were the one who reached out, and I don't think they got back to you, but we
Mm.
actually used them, I think, when we hired, I don't know if it was Chief Galvin or Chief Rhodes.
They did the background check for Chief Galvin.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah. I
All
mean,
right.
I'm also
they're
thinking,
okay.
I'm also thinking because we are going to, because of, again, the timeliness of this, and at the very best, we're going to have a TA that has been in office for 2 months, that we're probably looking at something that is more than just the background check. I think we're going to look at a company that is going to do much of the heavy lifting.
Yep.
Well, the other thing is, though, that sometimes when you have a town administrator, I may, tell me if I'm wrong, Margaret, that that town administrator maybe like to be the one who chooses his department head.
I think at the end, it's still going to be the town administrator who does it. I think it is the company that's going to, do the advertising, get the first round
No,
of
I'm
resumes,
talking
narrow it
about just
down.
the finalist. The finalist
Yes.
is all I'm talking about.
I think it's quite clear in the town administrator job descriptions that the finalist is chosen by the town administrator, not by
Well,
us.
No,
well,
I'm
well,
saying
actually,
the
this is
new
a,
town administrator.
yeah.
That's what I said.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I can't
Well,
imagine
I'm
that in
just
2
saying
months,
that-
we're gonna hire a new town administrator and a new. I'm thinking we're hiring a new town administrator, and I don't want that for town administrator, the first thing she or he have to do is hire a new fire chief.
But sometimes
we-
they would like to do that.
I think
Yes.
I think it's important for them to
I
be
don't think I
involved
want
in
that to be their number
Scott,
one
wait a
thing.
minute.
I think,
Wait a minute, Scott,
Margaret.
wait, let Margaret go. Go ahead.
Well, I think that it's important for the town administrator to be involved, but keep in mind, we have accepted the strong chief statute, and the appointing authority is the select board. So the town administrator, I agree, the town administrator should be involved and should be able to give input
Right.
to the board, and know that he or she can work with this,
Right.
feel comfortable with this person.
No, I'm
But
just saying the
ultimately,
time
this one
frame.
has to
The
be.
time frame for this position might be more along the lines of when maybe we've chosen our new town administrator so that they're involved.
Well, Chief's not resigning until the end of the year.
Right.
So we
Right,
have
so
until December.
I'm lost at the conflict. I do not believe this process to hire a fire chief is going to start before Margaret is done. I think we want to have the stuff in place. I think we might have the contract signed,
Exactly.
but I don't think it's starting
Agree.
before Margaret is done. So I don't understand the conflict.
There isn't
No.
any.
Okay.
No, there isn't any. It was just a discussion of, hey, Chief's leaving at the end of December. We've got a few months. What else can we add to the pile of things to get done?
I think that both Chris and Scott and Peg, you probably too, all feel that the town administrator should, new or not, should have some involvement.
I think it's just getting late and we're all chatting.
And we're talking in circles.
All right,
Yeah.
all right.
So what are
Right,
you
so-
thinking? Like in October, September, October, is that when you would normally go out, you think? As far as for a new fire?
I
would
think you
give you
need to
what,
give
3 or 4
yourself at least, well, you have to even give the finalist and maybe a few weeks, 6 weeks or something in case they need to give notice or.
Well,
You know,
that's
so-
just it. What's the
Yeah.
notice period? Is it 30 days? So then if you want somebody here, and again, you're going to want them in place when Chief Clark is here. You're just not going to want Sally Newperson to stroll through the door on January 1st and be like, hey, what's up? So you're going to want that person in place in December. Therefore, they're probably going to have to give notice if you're thinking a month, which I think is what the contract is for Chief Clark. They've got to give notice sometime in November.
So I would ask Margaret, do you have any pointers? Do you have any suggestions?
I would actually start doing the preliminary stuff in August.
Okay. there we
That
go.
would be my suggestion, because time does fly.
That
Yeah,
does.
it does.
We've seen it, so.
Okay.
Which is why I thought we would now start reaching out to understand what companies would do this and
Oh,
potentially have a contract in place.
No harm in doing that, to see what kind of components they'd have in the search process.
Right.
I
can-
have to lean with Scott on this because I've seen a few on the municipal website that there's a few TAs out there, and there's also, they're looking for fire chiefs too now, so.
Yep.
I think we'll have to.
All right.
Mhm.
Well, you know what? I'll throw it down, Margaret. If you have any updates when we meet in 2 weeks, or if there's a minor update that you have at Coffee Talk that we can, throw in. If MRI just even expresses interest in helping us, great. If not, we'll just randomly pick a day in May for like an update and just kind of have this on the calendar as a recurring reminder.
Great. I'll do some reaching out to MRI and Badge Quest, see if I can get either of them
Okay.
to.
All right, so we're getting down on our list to dos. Last under new business is the Mass Lottery Commission notification of a Keno license for the Berlin General Store.
This is on the board's agenda to affirmatively approve or not. I believe this would be similar to other things where if the timeline lapsed, it would be in the hands of the Lottery Commission to approve solely. So
Okay.
does the board have any concerns about a full Keno license at the Berlin General Store?
No. I
Okay.
I thought there wasn't anything in the Google Drive about this. However, there was some stuff on a unit up at Sawyer Hill that I thought maybe should have been on the agenda. No?
No, that sale is not ready yet.
Okay. All right.
And there is something in the it got added
Yeah.
this afternoon about the Keno,
Oh, all right. I didn't know.
new business.
So Mary, what action, if any, does the board need to take? Would they only
They
need to
can
take
take
action? if
no
they were to-
action, or they can proactively assist by not making the 21 days go by and giving an affirmative answer back to the commission that they have no problem with it.
Okay, then I'm going to, well, it's entirely up to the board, but you're free to allow the timeline, this timeline to lapse to the, and let it default to the lottery commission.
Your
I have
motion?
no preference. What do you think, Scott?
I'm fine approving it.
Okay.
So I
So is
think
that a
it's-
motion?
That's a motion to approve it, because I also think it gives the business sort of a known instead of just waiting officially. They can take
Agreed.
action. So yes, I move.
Okay,
Second.
all right. Stone eye?
Hawkins, aye.
Keep five.
No, stone eye, itchy eye. Okay, good. All right. Well, general store off and running. Future best wishes for Keno. All right, getting down to the end of it. Board's questions, comments, liaison, updates, go.
Did you have
Jerry?
anything, Scott?
I do. I'm just on an upcoming agenda, we need to be talking about, we probably should be talking about the Hearst House and where and what approvals we need or other stuff we need to do to help get it cited. I think the powers that are looking at restoring are looking at putting it at Old Cemetery, sort of where it was before it was taken down for renovations.
Did they have a meeting? The historic,
They're having meetings as we talk. I thought I missed their meeting this past week and I didn't get an email out asking for updates until today. But I also know they've posted a meeting for this week too. So it might imply they didn't have quorum or something for last week.
can you just keep us posted as far as what they're looking for? What they're,
I think it is guidance on what the process could be. My guess is if they showed up with a truck and started assembling it, there would be problems.
Yep.
And so, everyone recognizing that is, what approvals do they need when and from whom?
Okay.
And I did send an email asking of that, and
I think we do need to put this on an agenda because this is an in-depth topic.
Yeah.
But I guess I also have some questions too as to why they wouldn't be working with the First Parish Church and possibly citing it there and then alleviating the town of any responsibility for an additional building and the care and upkeep of that building. I mean, it was originally cited at the First Parish Church for the location of the hearse, right? So why would it?
it has
not-
more recently been in Old Cemetery. They're looking at trying to put it back to where it has stood for many years.
Okay. Well, I have serious concerns about, and this is just my comment, I have serious concerns about placing any kind of private structure on public property, and as does our insurance carrier. So I will have to,
I
it'll be a
believe-
broader discussion.
Right, because I believe that they're addressing that by it wouldn't be privately owned.
So that means it would be town owned. So that would means that it's an additional town expense, highway responsibility. We
It
can't
was
take care of the
previously
building.
town owned, yes.
But we can't take care of the buildings that we have now, so we're gonna add one to the mix.
Yep.
Okay,
This-
all right,
this
I
needs-
will,
yeah, I agree with Scott. This needs to be a future agenda.
okay, right,
you
I'll
know,
put it on the
I just
agenda.
don't know where, can I just say, I just don't know where it's gonna go on an agenda besides the three of us not having any direction. We need a direction from either historical commission or.
So they want direction from us, we want direction from them. I think there should be agenda items, so we end this catch-22, that we wait for them and they wait for us. And so
No,
it's
no,
probably
just if
likely an
they
agenda
need
item, we
something-
invite them to our meeting so that between those commission and us, we can figure out how to get out of this, everyone waiting for everyone else, when the building needs to be out of its current storage place the next couple of months.
If they're waiting for something from us, they need to be more specific so that we have exactly.
They would
know
like direction from
exactly
us
what
on
we're
what the
going to
direction
have
they
to
need to
give
go
them.
to make this
Okay,
happen.
one at a time. Scott, let Chris finish, please. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that we need something specific from whether it's the society or the commission And then it would be easier for us to answer rather than going around and around and around and not knowing.
It is
You
the
know.
round and round and round I'd like to stop with an agenda item.
And well,
Okay, all right.
or have our TA follow up with it. So
Okay,
that we don't
all right.
have to bring it to this meeting.
All right, hang on. Margaret,
All right,
Um,
so
do
Mary,
you have information from the insurance carrier on this?
we have
at all?
information from the insurance carrier. We received that, and thank you, Mary, for reaching out to our rep on that. Mary Reddington has been the primary point of communication on it. So I can certainly follow up with her.
Mary Porter.
But I guess I
No.
too,
Mary
It's not
Reddington.
Porter.
Mary Reddington. Yeah, I too would like a little more information as to what the plans are, because I'm a little bit confused about, what exactly is being asked. So I think it would be helpful to actually have a conversation.
Okay, all right.
with her.
So Margaret, June, we can talk about it. I know our meeting on Thursday is brief because we only really setting the agenda for coffee talk next week. So if anything, we'll all look at a calendar and randomly just pick a day in May. And we'll just drop it on and go from there. Okay. All right. Anything else? Scott, Chris?
I had on my notes here that, which we already did decide to do a letter recognizing the NVRDD dispatcher efforts. But I also was going to ask Margaret how the meeting with the group about the Berlin animals went.
Unfortunately, I was unable to go, but June can speak to
Okay.
that.
Terrific.
Pretty much when we went to the meeting, we had the animal inspector, the animal control officer, and the field driver. Eric Shartner was also there, Chief Shartner, and James actually did show up also. It pretty much turned into a discussion on what the field driver actually did and what his role would be in things. Pretty much what it came down to was the law that references the field driver was that he would only be there available on a Sunday. And it sounded like it was an older law where
It is.
pretty much if everybody else was at church, then this would be the person that would be available to go and round up, as they call them, beasts. So there was a question as to what that really meant, and where emus and llamas and that type of stuff, was that on a donkey or a camel, was that all be in there also?
Oh, the infamous Campbell that always escaped.
So we talked a little bit about that, and then I did come back and I did talk to Mary to find out what our insurance would cover for these people. Two of them are paid by a stipend, and the field driver does not get paid. So the others would be covered, I believe, the insurance. I looked at it quick today where it was warrant day. And it's pretty much they are covered under workers' comp, but they are not covered as far as their own vehicles that they're using. So if they should get into an altercation with an animal with their vehicle, that they would have to go through their own personal insurance for any type of insurance claim. So that will have to be brought back to the group. We did not get into the duties or any discussion as far as what animal inspector did versus animal control officer did. So that would probably still need to be addressed a little bit. I'm trying to think. I think that was pretty much it. There was talk about fees that the field driver could charge, but that one we're still kind of trying to work.
Is there
around.
any other town who still has field drivers?
I think they do, but it's really a historical appointment. There really is. In the towns I've served anyway, there really hasn't been.
I mean, Buddy Wheeler, I don't remember him, having any particular hard work that he did, but I didn't hear. So
I thought it was interesting because Shane brought up the fact that the only thing he remembers was his father waking him up and saying, "Come on, we got to go." And they went and they picked up an animal and they brought it to wherever it belonged, or that type of a thing. So he was just doing it more out of, it's just the way it was. So he didn't want to step on any of their toes or anything like that. It was more just an acquaintance type thing. So, I mean, it was a decent meeting, but that's pretty much what came of it. The only other thing that did come up, there was one other thing. Animal inspector was trying to figure out if there was a better way for us to be able to gather information as far as who had what animals. Because I guess there are some issues going around with animals as in birds. So that was one of the things is that, you know, is there a way for us to send something out with the census? So not only are you saying you have a cat or a dog, but could you also add like chickens or pigs or horses or, you know, that type of a thing. So that way they know what you're supposed to have to be able to go out and check to make sure, you know, things were okay. We did, and I knew that way back when the assessor's office had a list like that when we used to do farm animal excise, but we've done away with that years ago. So that wasn't readily available. So it was discussed, and James did say that it would probably be available as if they wanted to do up some sort of a form. We could include it with the census or taxes or something like that, just to gather some more information.
Those three positions, animal control, animal inspector, and field driver, are heavily governed by statute. And so the governing statutes, and in the animal inspector's case, the guidelines from the Department of Agricultural Resources were shared with all of the incumbents in those positions.
Well, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
How it went.
All right. Scott, you got anything? I've got a few. I'll go quick.
You go first.
All
I don't
right,
think I have any more.
so Berlin School Committee, Laurie may not be able to make it. Somebody else might. Mike, is that his name? Topman?
Mike Topman or Adam Wilbur.
If they can't make it, I told her, no worries. We'll have another coffee talk in September. We'll catch her up. Not a big deal. Concom, Chris, this update is for you. Unfortunately, you've got more work to do on it. This was in regard to the update for Maplewood. Concom really doesn't have anything to do with it. They don't have any information on the amount of yardage that was brought in.
The answer for me. Yes.
Yep,
I was
yep.
gonna say, what do I have to do now?
Yeah, so they're thinking that the answer lies with DEP. Louise mentioned that she's thinking that it was like 300,000 cubic feet, something. But she's not sure. The project was supposed to end at the end of last year, but they are basically on schedule as fill is available. So.
And when I asked DEP a while back, probably right before Margaret came on, they had no answer for me.
Yep. So unfortunately, then I think it's
nothing in the
just.
contract, then there really, there's nothing we can do. However,
So,
tell me, Peg, who was asking that question? What was his name?
oh, I don't even remember the name of the road. I bet if I went and I looked back. June, what's the name of the road? You're coming up from Five Corners. You got Derby here, you got Boylston here.
Barnes.
Thank you. So it was a gentleman on Barnes Road. I'm sure I can find his name.
It's probably the one, Margaret, that has been sending emails to
Jack
you and
Leahy.
I think that's it. Yes.
I think that's it. He's the one who was asking the question about how many cubic yards of dirt have they moved? And I don't know, you know, I don't think there's any way for us to answer that.
Well,
Concom thinks it's 100,000 that was brought in to do the front. They have no idea how much it was brought in to do the back. So
I
but
think it'd
they
be
have
more
no oversight.
pertinent. It would be more pertinent to actually ask how much more is going to be coming, correct? But
That's what I would
I
think,
don't know why
but-
he's asking.
I will reach out. And you know,
Right.
there need to be loads, there has to be load slips for every single load. So I can ask the DEP who holds those. There have to be load slips.
All right.
So
Yes, and you may just want to mention to him that, you know, you ran into Chris at the transfer station and she said you were looking for the answer to this question. So he knows why you're contacting him.
Right. so the 1870, I met with Board of Health last week. Obviously, it is not as easy to do as we thought. There needs to be involvement with the church. There needs to be involvement from Faith Lindsay. It's a Board of Health issue. It's not a Board of Selectmen issue. It's a Board of Health that they're gonna really need to drive it. I offered to get in touch with somebody at the church, at the council. I don't know who, maybe Stan, maybe Peter Wheeler, don't know, maybe Barry, throw a note out for future discussions, but that's really where we kind of need to kick off and figure out what needs to be done. Again, as I expressed to the Board of Health, I've heard people in town kind of poo-pooing the idea, poo-poo, isn't that kind of cute? Not being in favor of, doing anything to the sewer to upgrade and leave it as it is. But my feeling is gather the information and let the facts and the numbers talk to itself. Could be cost prohibitive. We may not be able to do it, but you know what? I want a piece of paper that says it's $1 bazillion when we find out it could have been $20.
They-
All right,
they
so-
couldn't-
Add
they
that,
couldn't give you-
their septic systems do have a lifespan, and
Yeah.
at some point it is going to become a thing.
An issue, correct. It's going to be a lot. So you know what? Get in front of it now with that. So I will start to reach out to the church and keep you guys posted along with
Thank you.
Mrs. Lindsay.
Did they throw out any number at all? Okay.
No, because what we need to do, what I need to get.
Well, I didn't know if they gave you a ballpark between here and here.
No, they
Or-
can't. They can't until we can get an engineer, but we can't get an engineer until we have buy off from all the parties that this is kind of sort of maybe something we're gonna go forward with. So again, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Board of Health can't recommend a body or a company. They can give us 3 or 4, to pick from and have conversations with. And then, so that's the first, that's the second step. Well, no, that's the third step because I gotta go to capital planning and get money. Margaret. For the,
Yes, you do.
yes, I do. But you know what? Again, it's a process. We'll get there. All right, so that one. Again, I wanted to talk to Fred. It kind of ties into my last 2 items, is that I know because Fred and Jim Spinney are very, very kind in committees and people will just go up to them and say, hey, Kenya. Margaret, I know that you've worked very closely in June, in Margaret's absence, you've worked very closely. I'm just concerned about all these, hey, would you mind? Could you move this? Could you cut this down? You wouldn't mind picking that up, would you? That Fred, out of the kindness of his heart and that department's heart, are doing it at the expense of everything else that needs to be done. So I didn't know, Margaret, again, maybe this is an item that you can mention to the boards tomorrow, that there's a process. If you're enlisting the help of highway, you just can't go to them and say, oh, by the way, can I borrow equipment to do blah, blah, blah. Oh,
Well,
by
that's
the way, there's a
department
branch
heads.
that needs to come down. Correct. So,
You mean committees and boards and
yeah,
committees,
committees and boards that,
but not.
and I know
not
everything
department
was,
heads.
right, everything was done before with a handshake and an agreement, but you know what? The town has grown and responsibilities have grown and you just can't continue to do that because you're gonna do 1 for 1 and you're not gonna do something from somebody else and then here we go.
Right.
So, stop it. All right, those are mine. I'll keep you
Growing-
posted where I am.
Growing pains.
It is. But you know what? They're
We
good
did-
growing
we-
pains to
We
have.
had asked, and it was to the previous highway chief, but that those special tasks get listed on the monthly report. So we have a sense of what those are. 1, so he gets credit for all the extra work that's going on, but it helps us
Yep.
understand who might be doing what you're talking about, Peg.
Exactly. At the same time too, I want to make sure that there's a clean division of tasks and labor here, that the town is not going to continually get hit with the, oh, you can take that away. Oh, you can do that. And all of a sudden it's now, we've racked up $20,000 in hours in labor and somebody else is just like, hey, thanks. So again, pet peeve. Okay. All right. Anything else on the agenda? I know it's late. We're all kind of cranky, ready to go. It's 9:22.
That's it. That's all I
All right.
got.
No meeting next to Monday. Coffee talk on Thursday. We'll get the agenda out sometime on Thursday.
Okay.
Motion to giddy up.
So move.
So move. Second, whatever is
Excellent.
necessary.
Stono? All
Hawkins, aye.
Keith, aye.
right. See you guys next week. Have a good weekend. Margaret,
Thanks,
you and I'll
everyone.
talk to you.
Night,
kids.
night,
Take
Care,
everybody.
everybody.